Chapter 33-99. The two stood in front of a stone stele. The stone stele was 100 feet tall and was completely black. There were no inscriptions on it and it was as flat as a mirror, but it emitted a mysterious aura. Wang Chongyuan and Pei Tianhong were both extremely strong, but under this aura, they were as small as ants. Qin Feiyang, Frenzy, White-Eyed Wolf, and the artifact spirit landed beside the two. We found this stone stele in the valley. As Pei Tianhong spoke, he scanned his surroundings cautiously. Qin Feiyang and the others looked up. When their eyes came into contact with the stone stele, a sense of awe emerged in their hearts. It was as if what stood in front of them was not a stone stele, but an ancient god. It was shocking. Little Frenzy, increase the power of the blood demon. The White-Eyed Wolf suddenly spoke. Although Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan had already checked the entire valley, in the face of this black fog, what if they accidentally missed something? Frenzy nodded and a large amount of blood demon power appeared. Wang! The barrier that enveloped them immediately began to expand. In less than 3 breaths, the barrier covered the entire valley. Following closely, Frenzy and the White-Eyed Wolf absorbed the Yin demon power in the barrier. Without the obstruction of the Yin demon power, the entire valley was displayed in front of everyone's eyes. The valley. About half a mile. There were mountains on all sides and the only entrance was the place where Qin Feiyang and the others came in. There were no weeds or anything inside. After all, in this place, even living beings could not survive, not to mention flowers and trees. It was bare everywhere and looked extremely desolate. The White-Eyed Wolf scanned the entire valley, not letting go of any place. But in the end, other than the stone stele in front of them, they found nothing. Qin Feiyang turned to the artifact spirit and asked, "How do we obtain the inheritance? How do we know what kind of law inheritance is inside?" Press your hand on the stone stele and carefully sense it. The aura of each law is different, you can judge from the aura. As for obtaining the inheritance, you only need a drop of blood essence to drip on it. The artifact spirit explained. As soon as he said that, the White-Eyed Wolf and Madman immediately raised their claws and arms, pressed them on the stone tablet, and closed their eyes to sense it carefully. Look at how anxious they are. Qin Feiyang was speechless. What a joke. After all, this is the highest profundity of an ultimate law. The artifact spirit laughed cruelly. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, "Although we can tell what kind of law it is from its aura, how can we tell if it has any supreme profound?" This, the artifact spirit didn't seem to know how to judge. After pondering for a while, it said, "In the past, the fire dragon and the others judged based on the strength of the barrier. Logically speaking, from the strength of the golden barrier, there is a 90% chance that it contains the ultimate profound. That might not be the case. In the past, the best legacies the fire dragon and the others had encountered were the profound truths of ordinary laws. In terms of overall value, even if it's only a 5th ultimate law, it's still more valuable than an ordinary ultimate law. After all, ultimate laws are existences that can crush ordinary laws in the end." Qin Feiyang said. The artifact spirit lowered its head and muttered, "Why didn't I think of this?" As far as he knew, only the supreme essence of an ultimate law could surpass the supreme essence of an ordinary law. Therefore, when he saw how powerful the golden boundary was, he instinctively felt that there must be a supreme essence of an ultimate law inside. In fact, that was not the case. In the long run, no matter how strong an ordinary law was, it couldn't be compared to an ultimate law that had just been comprehended. Therefore, this stone stele might not contain the ultimate profundity. Qin Feiyang looked up at the stone tablet and thought, "It's possible that it's only the 5th ultimate profound." The artifact spirit nodded and looked at the stone tablet with a smile. "Whether it's the 5th ultimate profound or the ultimate profound, it's definitely an ultimate law. This is certain. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. If it was really an ultimate law, even if there was no ultimate profound, it was still worth it. He also walked forward, raised his hand, and pressed it on the stone tablet. Then, he closed his eyes and sensed. Very soon, a vast aura emanated from the stone tablet and enveloped him along his arm. In an instant, Qin Feiyang seemed to have merged with time and space. It was as if with a thought, he could cross this world and reach another time and space. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment, then he couldn't help but be excited. He couldn't be more familiar with this aura. He had sensed this aura from his ancestor, Qin Batian, the Alliance Master of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, the Deputy Hall Master of the Demon Palace, Chu Yun, and Old Hai, including Yun Xiang, Yi Tian, and the White-Eyed Wolf. That's right. This was the aura of the space-time law. It was indeed an ultimate law. We've made a killing, we've made a killing. Frenzy's roar suddenly sounded. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and turned to look at Frenzy beside him. He saw that his face was so excited that it was flushed red. On the other hand, the White-Eyed Wolf. His mouth was pursed, his face was dark, and he looked extremely unhappy. It already had the space-time law, so it was meaningless. If it encountered other ultimate laws, it could still be thick-skinned and compete with Qin Feiyang and Frenzy for a shot. But this thing, it didn't even have the qualifications to compete. Our luck is really good. Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan looked at each other. In fact, there was a trace of desire in their hearts. They also wanted it. However, they were also more tactful and wouldn't ask Qin Feiyang and Frenzy for it. What does this have to do with luck? It's obviously my credit. The artifact spirit was unhappy. If it wasn't for it leading the way, how could they find the inheritance of the spacetime law? We won't forget your credit. Frenzy looked at the artifact spirit and smiled, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Old Qin, tell me, who should this inheritance belong to?" Little Frenzy, be more honest. Last time in the temple, you have already obtained an inheritance. Now that you've encountered another inheritance, no matter what, you should give it to little Qin Zi. Don't misunderstand, I'm not speaking up for him. I'm just stating facts. White-Eyed Wolf said. Can you not talk about last time? Last time in the temple, you also had a chance to obtain the inheritance. But at that time, it was because you didn't want to accept the favor of Ice Dragon and Small Beast. Frenzy snorted. Okay, I won't interrupt. You guys do as you see fit. If you're really afraid of hurting the harmony, then be magnanimous and give it to little Pei Zi and little Wang Zi. White-Eyed Wolf grinned. Give it to us? Pei Tianhong and Frenzy were stunned and hurriedly waved their hands. No, although the space-time law is indeed useful to us, our cultivation has already reached peak dominator. In comparison, young Master and little Frenzy need this inheritance to increase their strength. When Frenzy heard this, he couldn't help but give the two a thumbs up. They actually knew how to be humble. It seemed that after following them for a period of time, their personalities had changed a lot. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at White-Eyed Wolf and said, hurting the harmony doesn't exist. How about this? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Frenzy and smiled. Let's be straightforward. Rock, paper, scissors, whoever wins gets it. Rock, paper, scissors? Is it so childish? Pei Tianhong, Wang Chongyuan, and Artifact Spirit were all speechless. This was the spacetime law. No matter what, they should be a little more serious, a little more serious. Okay. Frenzy nodded and didn't consider it. There was definitely no need to fight. With their personalities and friendship, they wouldn't do it. Since that was the case, then it would be simple. Let's see who has better luck. Then I'll be the referee. White-Eyed Wolf smiled and ran between the two. He shouted, "Get ready, 1, 2, 3, start." Qin Feiyang and Frenzy attacked at the same time. In the end, Qin Feiyang used scissors and Frenzy used fists. White-eyed wolf was stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang in disdain, as if saying, "Why are you so stupid, don't you know how to use paper?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He looked at Frenzy and said, "Okay, since you lost, it's yours." "I know, you're just giving in to me." Frenzy waved his hand, but his face was filled with pride. "Little guy, you want to play rock, paper, scissors with me? Don't you know that my nickname when I was young is Rock, Paper, Scissors Expert? Invincible in the world. Why don't we have a best of 3? White-eyed wolf said. Frenzy said proudly, "I have no objections. Anyway, I have never lost in rock, paper, scissors. There's no need for that." Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at Frenzy and said, "Don't waste time, accept the inheritance. Then I won't be polite." Frenzy smiled. He refined a drop of blood and dripped it on the stone tablet. Buzz! The stone tablet shook slightly and suddenly emitted strands of divine light. Immediately after, with a swoosh, a black light flew out from the stone tablet and went straight to Frenzy's forehead. When the black light merged into Frenzy's forehead, Frenzy's entire body was enveloped in the power of space and time. The surrounding space was also constantly distorted, as if it was about to shatter. Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan couldn't help but look at him with envy. But soon, their gazes shifted to Qin Feiyang. Even if he lost, even if he saw Frenzy obtain the inheritance with his own eyes, there wasn't any regret or jealousy on Qin Feiyang's face. There was even a trace of a smile. He was happy that Frenzy obtained the inheritance. This kind of mentality was definitely not something that could be faked. To brothers, to friends, to generosity, loyalty, it was really admirable. Because if it was any other young man, not to mention brothers and friends who weren't related by blood, even if they were blood brothers, they might fight. Even if they didn't fight, they would definitely fight until their faces turned red. It could be seen. Qin Feiyang was indeed not someone an ordinary young man could compare to. To be able to come all the way from the lower realm to today, to be able to have such achievements, to have so many loyal followers, it wasn't a fluke, nor was it luck. He used sincerity and friendship to exchange for it bit by bit. The artifact spirit glanced at Frenzy, then turned to look at Qin Feiyang. He chuckled and said, "Actually, you don't have to worry. In the outer area of the inner area, there is another place of inheritance hidden. That place of inheritance is similar to the situation here." Chapter 3400. What? There's another inheritance ground? Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, Wang Chongyuan, and Pei Tianhong all looked at the artifact spirit in surprise. Frenzy was already sitting cross-legged on the ground, concentrating on receiving the inheritance, so he didn't hear it. Yes. The artifact spirit nodded. The white-eyed wolf came back to his senses and hurriedly asked, "Is the situation really the same as here? Why would I lie to you? I won't hide it from you. The inheritance grounds in the inner and outer regions have already been swept clean by the fire dragon and the others. Only these 2 inheritance grounds are left. If it wasn't because they couldn't break the barrier, these 2 inheritances would have already fallen into their hands." The artifact spirit said. "Then where is the other inheritance ground?" The white-eyed wolf asked. "The other inheritance ground is still a bit far from here. In the past, the fire dragon's nest was near the land of inheritance. It will take about 10 days. Of course. If I activate the sovereign-level heaven-defying divine art, it will take at most 3 or 4 days." The artifact spirit smiled. "So far?" The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows and turned to look at Frenzy, who was sitting cross-legged. He definitely couldn't leave Frenzy here alone. Besides, Qin Feiyang, Wang Changyuan, and Pei Tianhong couldn't leave Frenzy now. Because once they left the barrier, the three of them wouldn't be able to last long in the inner region. Although the white-eyed wolf could also absorb the Yin demon power, he couldn't directly condense a barrier like Frenzy to isolate the Yin demon power outside. But let's wait for Frenzy. He had just received the inheritance, how long would he have to wait? What if someone beat him to it? There's no such thing as being the first to arrive. Other than the dragons and us, no one dares to step into the inner region. At most, they will just walk around the entrance. The artifact spirit waved his hand. What I'm worried about is the dragons. Didn't the ice dragon say that we caused a lot of trouble and the dragons will send people to deal with us? When they pass through the inner region, what if they are lucky and encounter the inheritance ground? The white-eyed wolf frowned. So what if I did? Can they break the barrier without a sovereign weapon? Although I don't know how strong these dragons are, I believe that sovereign divine weapons must be very rare to them. The artifact spirit sneered. Something's wrong. Qin Feiyang suddenly shook his head, his eyes flashing. What's wrong? The artifact spirit was suspicious. The dragons already know that I have 2 Dominator divine weapons. If they really send people to deal with us, they will definitely bring the same number of Dominator divine weapons. In other words, they'll have at least 2 Dominator weapons with them. Only then will they have the confidence and the courage to find trouble with us. Qin Feiyang said. As expected, your brain isn't something an ordinary person can compare to. You've thought things through. The artifact spirit was full of admiration and said, then no matter what, we can only wait for Madman to accept the inheritance and then rush to the place of inheritance. It's fine, let's wait. As for the place of inheritance over there, let's just leave it to fate. It's best if we can get it, but if we can't, we won't force it. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The artifact spirit was helpless. This kind of mentality was really unmatched. For a time, everyone was silent, and the place gradually fell into a dead silence. Suddenly, the white-eyed wolf gritted his teeth and looked at Qin Feiyang. Why don't I go and take a look at the situation first? Do you want to die? Although you're not afraid of the Yin demon force, what if you encounter the dragons? Qin Feiyang's face suddenly turned black. Is he really willing to give up his life for the inheritance? It's fine. I know what I'm doing. As long as I'm careful, it's not a problem to keep my life. The white-eyed wolf smiled confidently. Actually, I think we can let him keep an eye on it first. If the dragons really encounter the place of inheritance, he can think of a way to delay them. The artifact spirit hesitated and looked at Qin Feiyang and said, no, it's too dangerous. Qin Feiyang shook his head as expected. What are you afraid of? These are all our guesses. It's not certain whether the dragons will pass through the inner area or not. Besides, the inner area is so big. Even if they pass through the inner area, they might not encounter them. Let me go. I'll definitely be alive and wait for you to come. The white-eyed wolf raised his claws and vowed, his face was full of pleading. Qin Feiyang was helpless. With a thought, the horsetail whisk appeared. Qin Feiyang looked at the horsetail whisk and said, you follow the white-eyed wolf and protect its safety. Okay. The horsetail whisk replied. Seeing that Qin Feiyang finally nodded in agreement, the white-eyed wolf was overjoyed, but then shook his head and said, no, it's better to stay here and protect your safety. After saying that, he looked at the artifact spirit and bared his teeth, you also stay here and lead the way for them. You just need to tell me the specific location. I'll take my time to find it. The location is in the southeast. The most obvious sign is a huge mountain peak there. That giant peak is like a trident. That's the fire dragon's old nest. The place of inheritance is also on the peak in the middle, the artifact spirit explained in detail. He even told the white-eyed wolf about the eye-catching signs along the way. After all, the Een demon's power blocked his vision too much. It was quite difficult to find a place he had never been to, so the more detailed the better. Okay. I'm going. The white-eyed wolf laughed and directly rushed out of the barrier, disappearing into the black fog like lightning. Then what should I do? The horsetail Whisk was a little confused. What else can you do? You'll have to endure it and quietly follow it. No matter what, you have to ensure its safety. Of course, nothing can happen to you. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. This white-eyed wolf, he really didn't know what to say. Was it not willing to let the sovereign divine weapon protect it? Okay. The horsetail Whisk responded and quickly rushed out of the barrier, disappearing without a trace. Brother Wolf is actually quite good. Wang Chongyuan laughed. Yes. At first, I thought it was so anxious to go to the place of inheritance because of me. But in the end, it didn't let the sovereign divine weapon follow. With its strength, even if it found the place of inheritance, it wouldn't be able to break the barrier without the help of the sovereign divine weapon. So from this point, it can be seen that it did this purely because it was worried that the place of inheritance would fall into the hands of the dragons. Pei Tianhong nodded. That's because you don't understand the white-eyed wolf, so you think so. Actually, it's really loyal. It's just that its personality and mouth are a bit annoying. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan couldn't help but laugh. They had seen all this. That mouth was indeed a bit annoying. Let's all be alert. Without the sovereign divine weapon, we have to be more careful. Qin Feiyang smiled. Time flew by. Half a month passed. In this half a month's time, there was no sign of trouble. If it was someone else, they would definitely relax, but Qin Feiyang and the others didn't let down their guard. Although their eyes couldn't see the situation, their ears were always paying attention to the surroundings. Qin Feiyang looked at the motionless and serene frenzied man and transmitted his voice, "Old Pei, how long does it usually take to accept an inheritance?" Pei Tianhong was slightly taken aback and muttered to himself, "If it's just accepting the inheritance, it's very fast. Around 10 days to half a month, but if it's comprehending the inheritance and grasping the laws within, it'll take at least a few thousand years, or even tens of thousands of years. It can't be generalized, it depends on the strength of the laws. If there's no profound divine ability and it's just pure laws, then it'll be very fast. If one has good comprehension ability, they'll be able to grasp it in at most 10 years. But if it's the fifth profound or the highest profound, then it'll probably be like what old Pei said. It'll take at least a few thousand years, or even tens of thousands of years." Wang Chongyuan added. "It'll take that long?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. He thought that the inheritance of laws would be like the inheritance of a deity technique, which could be grasped quickly. Is it? Compared to the time needed to comprehend it by yourself, it's 100,000 miles away. Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan were speechless. Qin Feiyang was taken aback and laughed dryly, "That's true." Immediately. He once again looked at the mad scientist and muttered, "It's already been half a month, it's about time to accept the inheritance." Right now, he must first accept the inheritance, then find the white-eyed wolf and obtain the inheritance of another place of inheritance, then leave the Een demon land and enter the black tortoise world to slowly comprehend it. Otherwise, if he stayed here and slowly comprehended it, how long would he have to wait? The mad scientist had the experience of the inheritance, so he believed that he would definitely think of this. Boom! Suddenly. Outside the valley on the left, a terrifying aura exploded. Qin Feiyang, Pei Tianhong, Wang Chongyuan, and the artifact spirit immediately turned their heads to look. Although the entire valley was isolated by the blood demon power and there wasn't any Yin demon power, but outside the barrier, there was a black fog. It was pitch black and they couldn't see the situation outside. However, they could clearly sense that the aura that had suddenly erupted was surging toward the barrier. Is it the dragons? But I still can't feel the aura of a divine dragon. Wang Chongyuan was surprised. It doesn't matter if it's the dragons or not, quickly protect this barrier. Pei Tianhong waved his hand and the time law surged out, forming another barrier outside the barrier formed by the blood demon power. If the barrier formed by the blood demon power was broken, then they would all be corroded by the Yin demon power. If the mad scientist wasn't accepting the inheritance, he could help them absorb the Yin demon power at any time, but now that the mad scientist was accepting the inheritance, he couldn't be interrupted, otherwise all his efforts would be wasted, so he couldn't help them absorb the Yin demon power. In other words, this barrier definitely couldn't be broken now. Seeing this, Wang Chongyuan also immediately activated the Thunder Law, forming another lightning barrier outside Pei Tianhong's barrier. The Time Law, the Thunder Law, this double barrier was only to protect the barrier formed by the blood demon power. Chapter 3401. Boom! Just as Wang Chongyuan condensed the barrier, a black divine light tore through the sky and fiercely bombarded him. With a loud sound, the barrier formed by the law of lightning began to tremble. What? Wang Chongyuan's face changed. It could actually shake his barrier? It seemed that the opponent's strength was extraordinary. But fortunately, the barrier did not break. After trembling for a while, it calmed down. It seems that his strength is not as good as mine. Wang Chongyuan muttered. As long as his strength was not as good as his, there was no threat. At the same time, somewhere outside the barrier, there was a strange sound. From the distance of the sound, the person seemed to be a distance away from the valley. Although I don't know who you are, I advise you not to provoke and cause trouble. Wang Chongyuan heard the voice and immediately opened his mouth to shout. Hee, an old laughter sounded. It was extremely hoarse, but there was a trace of ridicule. Boom! The next moment, a monstrous aura erupted, emitting the aura of the law. Not good. This is the law of darkness. And looking at this level, it has reached the level of the ultimacy. Pei Tianhong's face changed. Wang Chongyuan's face also changed. He thought that the opponent was just a small character, but he never expected him to be so strong. The ultimacy of the law of darkness, could it be? Dragons. That's right. Other than them, only dragons could come and go freely in the inner area. Coupled with the ultimacy, there was no doubt that it was dragons. Why were they so unlucky to bump into dragons? Boom! Following a loud explosion, a terrifying aura surged toward Qin Nan. The law of darkness was like a raging wave, shattering the void and land, and bombarding the barrier condensed by the law of thunder. The barrier immediately distorted and trembled. Hold on. Wang Chongyuan stared at the barrier, clenching his fists, and roaring in his heart. But it did not last long. With a crack, the barrier shattered. However, the law of darkness also dissipated. After all, the strength was about the same. Wang Chongyuan's face was slightly pale, and he transmitted his voice, I hope he has not mastered the ultimacy of the law of darkness. Qin Feiyang, the weapon spirit, and Pei Tianhong looked at each other and could not help but frown. Whoosh! Suddenly, an old figure appeared outside the barrier. The pupils of Qin Feiyang and the others suddenly shrank. It was a black-clothed old man with thick eyebrows and big eyes. Although he was old and had a face full of wrinkles, he had a head full of thick black hair and appeared to be hale and hearty. Especially his eyes, they were even more terrifying. They were like two devil's dens that could not see the light of day, frightening people's souls. So it's you. The black-clothed old man sized up Qin Feiyang and the others, and the corners of his mouth gradually lifted into a smile. Although he was smiling, he gave off a chilling feeling, as if a demon was staring at them. Are you one of the dragons? Qin Feiyang stepped forward and said with a frown. Not bad. The black-clothed old man nodded and asked with a smile, Are you Qin Feiyang? The power of the purple gold dragon bloodline? Purple gold dragon blood? Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at each other. Why were they talking about the purple gold dragon blood again? It's me. Qin Feiyang said. You're quite bold. Not only did you not leave, but you came to the inner region and even let you find a level 1 inheritance. The black-clothed old man's smile became even brighter. Level 1 inheritance? Qin Feiyang was stunned. You don't know? That's true. How would the people outside know about the situation here? Although there are many inheritances in the inner region, they are also mixed with good and bad. They are divided into 3, 6, and 9 grades. Level 9 is the lowest. It's just an ordinary law, it doesn't even have the first profound. But level 1 inheritances are considered top-notch. Because level 1 inheritances are all the strongest laws, and they all contain the 5th profound. The black-clothed old man seemed to be in a good mood, and he even explained to Qin Feiyang in detail. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization and transmitted his voice to the artifact spirit. As expected, there isn't any supreme profound. The artifact spirit said to himself, it's not bad to have the 5th profound. As long as Frenzy grasps this spacetime law, he will be able to step into the greater mastery ruler realm. Qin Feiyang nodded. The most important thing is that after obtaining this spacetime law, Frenzy will have grasped 2 supreme laws. In the sky cloud realm, those who have comprehended 1 supreme law are already rare, let alone 2 supreme laws. Pei Tianhong looked at the black-clothed old man and asked, Then is there an inheritance of the supreme profound here? You guys are really greedy, you even want the inheritance of the supreme profound. However, there really is an inheritance of the supreme profound in the outer region of the inner region. However, even if I tell you the location now, you won't have the chance to find it. Because you will die soon. As his voice fell, the black-clothed old man's eyes surged with killing intent. He raised his arm and pressed it on the second layer of the barrier, which was the barrier formed by Pei Tianhong using the temporal law. Boom! A terrifying destructive force suddenly roared out from the black-clothed old man's palm. With a loud crack, the enchantment was shattered. This is, Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. It turned out to be the law of destruction. Wang Changyuan, prepare to fight. Pei Tianhong shouted. The other party could rely on the law of destruction to destroy the barrier he set up. It must have reached the level of the supreme profound. Wang Changyuan nodded. 2 ultimate profound meanings. This was another terrifying powerhouse comparable to the fire dragon. The fire dragon here naturally referred to the old man in fire robes who self-destructed. As for the fire dragon from Miracle, although he was also very strong, compared to these people, there was still a big gap. Hey! If it were me, I would definitely run away immediately. But you guys are still waiting for him to accept the inheritance, you really don't know what you are talking about. The black-clothed old man glanced at Frenzy, then looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Ice Dragon smiled and his aura rushed towards the barrier formed by the power of the blood demon. With a loud crack, the barrier set up by Frenzy shattered on the spot. As soon as the barrier was broken, the power of the Yin demon that was isolated outside surged in like a tide, instantly drowning Qin Feiyang and the others. Young master, quickly tell Frenzy to stop. Old Wang and I can only last for a short while against the power of the Yin demons, not to mention with your cultivation, you can only last for a dozen breaths at most. We can't delay any longer. Inheritance, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Pei Tianhong anxiously shouted, meaning to stop Frenzy from accepting the inheritance. A dozen breaths, Qin Feiyang felt the power of the Yin demons crazily surging into his body, and his face darkened. He then looked at Frenzy and muttered, "Senior brother, how much longer do you need?" Seeing this, Pei Tianhong gritted his teeth and shouted, "Wang Changyuan, let's go." "All right." Wang Changyuan nodded. The two of them took a step forward and set up a barrier with the back of their hands, protecting Qin Feiyang, Frenzy, and the artifact spirit inside. This was because once they fought, the fluctuations of the battle would affect Qin Feiyang and the other two. Thus, before the battle began, they had to be prepared in advance. Following closely, the two of them released a monstrous aura and charged towards the black-clothed old man. Humph! The black-clothed old man snorted from his nose. They actually dared to attack him? The law of destruction and the law of darkness roared out, and like two huge dragons, they charged towards the two of them. "You want to kill us? That fire dragon can't do it, and neither can you." Pei Tianhong and Frenzy roared domineeringly, and the law of time and the law of thunder turned into a torrent that crazily surged forward. Boom! In that instant, the four powers of the law met. Accompanied by an earth-shaking explosion, a world-destroying wave of air surged out in all directions. The barrier that Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong had set up together around Qin Feiyang and the other two also began to distort. Shua! At the same time, killing intent flashed in Pei Tianhong's eyes as he activated the momentary time and instantly appeared behind the black-clothed old man, slapping his palm towards the black-clothed old man's back. So what if the law of destruction was strong? He had the extreme speed of the momentary time, and the black-clothed old man was unable to keep up with his rhythm. However, seeing that Pei Tianhong was about to succeed, another black figure suddenly appeared beside the black-clothed old man. This was a black-clothed burly man, 7 feet tall, with 2 scars on his face. He did not smile and appeared extremely cold. What? Pei Tianhong was shocked. Appeared out of thin air? This must have come out from the space divine item. The rules of the Yin demon land were indeed ineffective against the dragons. The most terrifying thing was that now that a black-clothed burly man had appeared, he did not know if there was anyone else hiding in the black-clothed old man's space divine item. Boom! As soon as the black-clothed burly man appeared, a cold light flashed in his eyes. 2 terrifying powers of laws erupted with a loud bang. Following closely, he then threw a punch towards Pei Tianhong. The law of force, the law of earth. Pei Tianhong's expression changed. That's right. The black-clothed burly man had activated these 2 law powers. What shocked Pei Tianhong the most was that the strength of the black-clothed man's 2 law powers had already reached the level of supreme intent. As a last resort, he could only retract his hand that was slapping towards the black-clothed old man and turn to face the black-clothed burly man's fist. Because if he still wanted to kill the black-clothed old man, he would also be seriously injured. Moreover, he did not have the confidence to kill the black-clothed old man. Boom! The fist and palm met in an instant. Although the black-clothed burly man's law of force and law of earth had already reached the level of the supreme profound meaning, they were still ordinary laws and could not be compared to the law of time. Just in the battle of the law powers, Pei Tianhong had won, sending the black-clothed burly man flying with a palm. Yes. This was a simple confrontation of the law powers, without the use of the law profound meaning. However, just as Pei Tianhong sent the black-clothed burly man flying, the black-clothed old man suddenly turned around and threw a punch towards Pei Tianhong's head. The power of destruction roared in all directions, and a large part of the void collapsed. Damn it! No matter how fast Pei Tianhong was, facing such a fast attack, it was impossible to dodge. His face was as gloomy as water. He really did not expect that the black-clothed old man still had an expert with two supreme profound meanings hidden by his side. Otherwise, how could he fall into such a desperate situation? But at this moment, Wang Changyuan pounced over. Because when he saw the black-clothed burly man appear, he realized that something was wrong and immediately rushed over to support Pei Tianhong. Chapter 3402. Bang! Wang Changyuan pounced over and raised his arm, activating the law of thunder to meet the black-robed old man's fist. Immediately, Wang Changyuan spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out like a meteorite. His entire arm shattered on the spot, flesh and blood splattering everywhere. Pei Tianhong took the opportunity to activate instant time and retreated like lightning, saving his life. But when he turned around and saw Wang Changyuan being blasted away, his expression changed. He activated instant time again and instantly rushed to Wang Changyuan's side, grabbing him and stopping him in the void. "How are you?" He looked at Wang Changyuan with concern. "I'm fine. I just lost an arm." Wang Changyuan shook his head and swallowed a life-divine pill. He looked up at the black-robed old man with a sinister gaze. Pei Tianhong was the same. Opposite. The black-robed old man's face was cold. The black-robed man who was blasted away before also walked to the black-robed old man's side and confronted Pei Tianhong from a distance. Looking at the black-robed man, Pei Tianhong frowned slightly. If it was only the black-robed old man, they still had the power to fight, but now there was this man. Although this man did not master the strongest law, he had two ultimacies and his strength was quite terrifying. It could be said that, one-on-one, they had no chance of winning. Looking at Qin Feiyang again. His sea of consciousness was full of demon power, crazily devouring the divine soul. A fatal crisis welled up in his heart. He looked at Pei Tianhong's situation and then turned to look at Frenzy. Why wasn't it done yet? Bang! Suddenly, a murderous intent appeared behind Qin Feiyang. This murderous intent was quite weak. If it was an ordinary person, they would not be able to detect it. But Qin Feiyang caught it immediately. Without any hesitation, he turned around and activated the fifth ultimacy of the law of cause and effect, attacking the black fog in front. In the black fog, a surprised voice rang out. It seemed to be surprised that it was hidden so well. How could it be discovered by Qin Feiyang? Moreover, it was a woman's voice. It sounded quite young and pleasant to the ears. There's someone else? Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan and the artifact spirit immediately looked at the black fog in surprise. Bang! As expected. When the five-colored divine lotus formed by the fifth profundity of the law of karma blasted into the black fog, a terrifying aura erupted from the black fog. This aura carried the aura of the god of death. This was the law of death. Clang! Along with an enormous bang, a door of hell shot out from within the black mist and collided with the five-colored divine lotus. A destructive wave of air instantly surged out and swept towards the surroundings. Puff! At the same time, Qin Feiyang spurted out a mouthful of blood and retreated several steps. The five-colored divine lotus was no match for the gates of hell and shattered on the spot. Next, the gate of hell smashed through the sky, carrying with it a terrifying aura of death. It shot towards Qin Feiyang like a bolt of lightning. This person's cultivation is at least at the level of a great sovereign. The artifact spirit said in a deep voice. Although its body was not damaged and it could still fight, it could only watch helplessly. So what if he's a high-level hegemon? Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with killing intent, and 3,000 incarnations appeared behind him. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang spurted out another mouthful of blood and fell down as if the world was spinning. The 3,000 incarnations also dissipated. What's going on? The artifact spirit was bewildered. It's the power of the Yin demon. The young master has reached his limit. Madman, hurry and wake up, or else the young master will definitely die. Wang Chongyuan roared. Once the Yin demon's power completely devoured Qin Feiyang's divine soul, not even a god would be able to save him. More importantly, the person in the dark did not show any mercy. The gate of hell's demonic aura surged, accompanied by a ghostly howl, and shot towards the fallen Qin Feiyang. Wang Chongyuan looked at the motionless madman and clenched his teeth. Old Pei, you go and save the young master. I'll hold them back. With just you? The black-robed old man disdainfully smiled. Yes, with just me. Wang Chongyuan roared, and various laws and intents were activated as they charged towards the black-robed old man like moths to a flame. With just your strength, you're not worthy to fight with this old man. The black-robed man stepped out and faced Wang Chongyuan. The black-robed old man laughed in disdain, and his aura locked onto Pei Tianhong. Don't struggle in vain. Plus, if Qin Feiyang dies, it'll be good for you. Because once he dies, you'll regain your freedom. Pei Tianhong was silent. Shua. Suddenly, he disappeared from the black-robed old man's sight. Instant time. Humph. Stubborn. The black-robed old man snorted coldly, and used a supreme-level support technique to chase. Although the speed of the support technique was not as fast as the instant time, as long as Pei Tianhong dared to save Qin Feiyang, he was confident that he could deal a fatal blow to Pei Tianhong while Pei Tianhong was saving Qin Feiyang. Pei Tianhong naturally knew this. Although the instant time was fast, it was not invincible. But at this moment, he did not hesitate and charged towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang had already lost consciousness. The power of the Yin demon was like gangrene, constantly devouring his divine soul. Finally, Pei Tianhong arrived in front of Qin Feiyang, and grabbed Qin Feiyang. At the same time, he slapped at the gate of hell, and with a loud crack, the gate of hell shattered. But at this moment, the black-robed old man charged over aggressively, and the destruction and darkness laws turned into giant dragons that charged towards Pei Tianhong from all directions. At this moment, Pei Tianhong could not dodge. It seems that if I don't pay a price today, I won't be able to kill my way out. Pei Tianhong scanned the surroundings and took a deep breath. Just as he was about to use a forbidden technique, an extremely fierce aura suddenly exploded. Pei Tianhong immediately looked towards the madman. The madman opened his eyes and suddenly stood up, his body filled with a murderous aura. In just an instant, his 1.8-meter body grew to over 10,000 feet, and his body was covered with blood-red hair. He was like an ancient giant ape, and his violent aura covered the surroundings. You dare to bully my brother? You're fucking courting death. The madman roared, and his voice was like thunder as he punched at the black-robed old man. The transformed madman was like a wild giant. Just the violent aura alone was enough to make people feel fear. The black-robed old man raised his eyebrows, and like a king, his eyes were filled with disdain. Just as the madman's fist was about to land, the black-robed old man raised his arm to meet the attack, and the destruction laws were like a flood, shattering the heavens and earth. With a loud bang, the two fists collided, and the madman was sent flying. His mountain-like arm was torn apart, and blood dyed the sky red. However, this was nothing to the madman. When fighting with the fire dragon, even if his body was torn apart, he could quickly recover, not to mention a mere arm. As endless Yin demonic chi surged in, the broken arm instantly recovered. Don't tangle with him, let's go. Pei Tianhong roared, and released his aura. He brought Qin Feiyang and the artifact spirit out of the encirclement, and arrived in front of the madman. For this reason, he had paid a heavy price. He had been heavily injured by the dragons formed from the laws of destruction and darkness, and was covered in wounds. The madman looked at Qin Feiyang's current state, and his expression changed slightly. He immediately raised his arm and grabbed Qin Feiyang's shoulder, and absorbed the Yin demon power in Qin Feiyang's body. At the same time, Pei Tianhong activated instant time, and instantly arrived beside Wang Changyuan. He activated the time laws and punched at the black-robed man. The black-robed man and Wang Changyuan fought until the sky turned dark. Although the black-robed man had grasped two ultimates, it wasn't that easy for the black-robed man to kill Wang Changyuan when he went all out. However, facing Pei Tianhong's punch, the black-robed man didn't dodge. The law of earth and the law of strength surged, and directly met it. "You want to stall us with just you?" Pei Tianhong sneered. He knew that he wasn't the black-robed old man's match. But this black-robed man dared to jump in front of him? He really didn't know his place. Boom! The two fists clashed, and the black-robed man was sent flying, his arm instantly shattering. "Don't fight, let's go!" The artifact spirit roared. Pei Tianhong didn't plan on fighting. Because whether it was strength or the environment here, it wasn't good for them. Shua! Instant time activated. Pei Tianhong took Qin Feiyang, Wang Changyuan, the madman, and the artifact spirit and left without looking back. At the same time, the madman also absorbed the Yin demon power in Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan's bodies. "Want to leave?" A vicious glint flashed in the eyes of the black-robed old man. He used an auxiliary deity technique and aggressively chased after Su Chen. The black-robed man took a divine life pill and also chased expressionlessly. "Don't chase." But at this moment, a crisp and pleasant voice rang out. Then, a woman in a long black dress slowly walked out of the black fog. She had an exquisite figure, red lips, white teeth, and skin that was like sparkling and translucent jade. Her jet-black hair fluttered in the wind, giving her an extraordinary temperament. "Why don't we chase?" The black-robed old man and black-robed man stopped and looked suspiciously at the woman. "The other party has instant time, can you catch up? Plus, so what if we catch up? They also have dominator weapons. I'm not the only princess and prince that came out to train. Maybe someone is hiding in the dark, waiting to reap the benefits. So, we don't need to fight to the death with them." The woman's voice was filled with shrewdness and wisdom. When the two heard this, they immediately glanced around calmly and frowned slightly. "Let's go. We can only use our wits to deal with them, not force. They can't stay here forever, they will leave the Yin demon land sooner or later. Plus, since they can't use a time-space teleportation divine artifact in the Yin demon land, when they leave, they will pass by the entrance of the Yin demon land. We'll wait for them there. Since we can wait for them to come, why waste so much effort to chase after them?" The woman smiled secretly. The black-robed old man and black-robed man looked at each other and nodded happily. They were very impressed by the woman. Chapter 3403. Let's talk about Qin Feiyang and the others. In the boundless black fog, Pei Tianhong activated momentary time and brought the few of them as fast as lightning. It didn't matter where they went, as long as they escaped. 100 breaths passed. Wang Changyuan turned around and looked behind, secretly heaving a sigh of relief. "I don't feel their aura, they shouldn't be chasing us." Hearing this, Madman also turned his head to look behind. Indeed, he didn't feel the aura of the black-clothed old man and the black-clothed man. "Who?" After letting out a long breath, Madman's body returned to normal. Before this, he had been maintaining his transformed state. Because he wasn't out of danger yet, he didn't dare to turn it off. After all, this transformation ability could only be activated once a day. What if he turned off the transformation and encountered danger again? Didn't Qin Feiyang always say the same thing? It's better to be safe than sorry. Then, Madman waved his hand again and opened a blood demon force barrier, blocking the Yin demon force. Then, he helped Qin Feiyang, Pei Tianhong, and Wang Chongyuan absorb the Yin demon force in their bodies. As the Yin demon force disappeared, Qin Feiyang quickly woke up. He opened his eyes in confusion and looked around. "Don't look, we are out of danger," Madman said. "That's good." Qin Feiyang also heaved a sigh of relief. Madman looked at him with concern and asked, "How do you feel now?" "Not bad, just a little weak," Qin Feiyang said as he took out a Sky Sun Spirit pill and placed it in his mouth. The Sky Sun Spirit pill was used to repair the soul. And now, Qin Feiyang's soul was injured. Therefore, the Sky Sun Spirit pill was of great help to him at this moment. "It's good that you're fine." Madman nodded and grinned. "Is it exciting?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and asked, "What about your inheritance? Was it interrupted?" Sigh. Hearing this, Madman sighed, his face filled with disappointment. Was it interrupted? Pei Tianhong, Wang Chongyuan, and the artifact spirit also looked at him in surprise. Previously, they were only focused on escaping and didn't have time to care about this problem. It was interrupted. Madman nodded, his face filled with unwillingness. Qin Feiyang was silent for a while. He patted Madman's shoulder and sighed, "There's nothing we can do about it. Let it go. What else can I do if I don't want to accept it?" Madman shook his head. "What a pity." Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan looked at each other and shook their heads regretfully. These weren't ordinary laws of nature, but space-time laws of nature. Furthermore, judging from what the black-clothed old man had said, there was definitely a fifth profound. In other words, if Madman could obtain this inheritance and grasp it, he would be able to step into the sovereign realm. But in the end, he gave up halfway. How could it not be a pity? When the Madman saw their reactions, he couldn't hold it in any longer. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at him suspiciously. "Are you all so naive? You believe me just because I said a few words?" Madman laughed. "What do you mean? Are you trying to trick us?" Wang Chongyuan was stunned. "Yes, can't I? Don't blame me, you can only blame yourselves for being stupid." Madman smiled proudly. Wang Chongyuan and Pei Tianhong couldn't help but stare at Madman. Qin Feiyang and the artifact spirit were also speechless. What kind of situation was this, and he still made such a joke? "You're a bastard." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him. "Thanks for the compliment." Madman's face was thick as he laughed. Qin Feiyang shook his head speechlessly and smiled, "Although we almost lost our lives, as long as we obtained the inheritance, it's worth it. Especially old Pei and old Wang, their contributions this time can't be ignored." Don't say that, don't say that. It's our duty." Wang Chongyuan quickly waved his hand and smiled. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh as he glanced at Pei Tianhong and smiled, "Once we leave the Yin Devil Land, I will help you open the door to all your potential." "Really?" Pei Tianhong was taken aback as he quickly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. "How can I lie to you? But I hope that you won't have a change of heart after I open the door to potential. At that time, I will ask you for help for anything." Qin Feiyang smiled. "No, no." Pei Tianhong quickly waved his hand. Helping him open the door to potential, he couldn't be more grateful. How could he put on airs? Besides, being controlled by the slave seal, he didn't have the right to put on airs now. Qin Feiyang smiled and suddenly thought of something. He asked, "Right, who is the woman who controlled the law of death and ambushed me?" "We don't know either. From the beginning to the end, she didn't appear." Madman shook his head. "Didn't appear? But there's no rush, we will meet sooner or later. At that time, we will let her know the price of ambushing me." Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly as he turned to the artifact spirit, "Bring us to the other inheritance land immediately." "Okay." The artifact spirit nodded. Pei Tianhong looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "In order to meet up with the white-eyed wolf as soon as possible, Wang Changyuan and I will take turns to activate the auxiliary divine arts to bring you there. Thank you for your hard work." Qin Feiyang smiled. Pei Tianhong smiled faintly and looked at Wang Changyuan, saying, "Your injuries are more serious than mine, recover first." "Okay." Wang Changyuan nodded. In the past, he and Pei Tianhong were master and servant, but now they were friends of equal status and were no longer as humble as before. "Right. Do you still remember what the black-robed old man said at the beginning?" The artifact spirit suddenly spoke. Pei Tianhong led a group of people and flew towards the southeast direction as he asked, "What is it?" At that time, didn't Qin Feiyang ask him if there was a supreme law in the outer region? He probably said that there is indeed such an inheritance in the outer region, but we no longer have the chance. The artifact spirit said. "Yes, yes, yes. I remember too. He did say that." Wang Changyuan nodded. "That is to say, the next place of inheritance might contain a supreme law." The artifact spirit said. "What? The next place of inheritance has a supreme law?" Frenzy was stunned. At that time, he was accepting the inheritance, so he didn't pay attention and didn't know. "That's right. I have already told you about the situation in the outer region. There are only two barriers that the fire dragon and the others couldn't break. Now that one is confirmed to be the time law, the other place of inheritance must be the supreme law that the black-robed old man mentioned." The artifact spirit analyzed. "Then wouldn't I suffer a huge loss?" Frenzy looked at the artifact spirit in shock. He had already obtained the spacetime law, he couldn't possibly snatch it from Qin Feiyang. It was even more impossible for Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong to snatch it. So, the next place of inheritance must be Qin Feiyang's. Originally, he wanted to show off after obtaining the spacetime law, but he didn't expect that the next place would contain a supreme law. His mood instantly turned bad. He looked at Qin Feiyang and smiled, "Old Qin, why don't we continue with rock, paper, scissors?" As soon as these words came out, before Qin Feiyang could react, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the artifact spirit revealed a look of disdain. "You have already obtained an inheritance and you still have the cheek to say this? Where is your face? You really don't want it anymore?" "Huh." Frenzy looked at the three of them with an awkward expression. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled, "If you really want to do this, I don't mind." The corner of Frenzy's mouth twitched. This was really generous. He waved his hand, "Forget it, if I really do this, old Pei and the rest will despise me for a lifetime." "You're so thick-skinned and you're still afraid of them despising you?" The artifact spirit laughed. Frenzy's face turned black as he glared at the artifact spirit. "Don't hit people's faces when you hit them. Don't go overboard. I'm just joking. Do you really think I want to snatch it from old Qin? What kind of person am I?" "Yes." The artifact spirit turned on its face slapping mode again and nodded. Wang Changyuan and Pei Tianhong looked at each other. Although they didn't speak, the expression on their faces was enough to explain everything. "Damn! You guys are measuring the heart of a gentleman with the yardstick of a villain. Do you know that?" Frenzy roared. "Just you? A gentleman? Come on, don't be laughed at." The artifact spirit looked down on him. "You're too arrogant, right?" Frenzy glared at the artifact spirit. "Hey, I'm just joking. Why are you so serious?" The artifact spirit bared its teeth. Pei Tianhong shook his head and smiled. This kind of harmonious atmosphere was indeed good. He then brought the others and sped up, disappearing without a trace. At the same time, southeast direction. A gigantic mountain stood tall in the midst of the boundless black fog, towering into the sky. Above it, there were 3 peaks. Looking from afar, it looked like a huge trident. And the peak in the middle was the tallest. At this moment, beside the peak, the white-eyed wolf stood in the air. Looking at the peak, he scratched his ears and scratched his cheeks. He seemed extremely irritated. If I had known, I would have brought the horsetail whisk here. He had already confirmed that this peak was the place of inheritance. But there was also a barrier on the peak. He had already tried and couldn't break it at all. As for the inheritance inside, he naturally didn't know what it was. If he knew that there might be an inheritance with a profound meaning inside, he would definitely regret it even more. Because when Qin Feiyang came, he wouldn't have the face to snatch it. After all, the 3 strongest laws he had now were all snatched by Qin Feiyang. Forget it. Just wait and see. It's better to benefit little Qin Zi than to benefit those dregs from the dragons. I hope those dregs won't find this place. The white-eyed wolf muttered to himself and then carefully went into hiding. He didn't know that the horsetail whisk was also hiding not far away, but it had concealed its aura and couldn't sense it. There shouldn't be any changes, right? The horsetail whisk muttered, also paying attention to the situation at the peak. Boom! Suddenly, in the depths, 3 powerful auras surged. The white-eyed wolf and the horsetail whisk were startled and immediately became vigilant. Don't come here, at the same time. The white-eyed wolf roared in his heart. Coming from the depths, it was obviously the dragons. If they came here, they might snatch the inheritance. But things didn't go as he wished. The 3 auras were coming this way. He didn't know if it was a coincidence or if they came here specially. In short, the white-eyed wolf was very anxious at this moment. Chapter 3404. About 10 breaths later, 3 auras finally broke through the air and appeared in the sky. The white-eyed wolf and the horsetail whisk restrained their auras to the extreme and hid in the mountains below. However, after these 3 auras appeared in the sky, they did not stop and continued to fly outside. Fortunately, the white-eyed wolf breathed a sigh of relief. They did not come for the inheritance. But suddenly, the 3 auras stopped again. What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf's heart was in his throat again. Your Highness, if I remember correctly, there seems to be a place of inheritance here? The sky was silent for a while. Suddenly, a vigorous voice sounded in the sky. Your Highness. Hearing this name, the white-eyed wolf could not help but raise his eyebrows. Could it be the golden-robed young man? Is that so? Another young man's voice sounded. Hearing this voice, the white-eyed wolf shook his head. This was not the golden-robed young man's voice. It seemed that there was more than one highness among the dragons. However, they were all scum. If there was no one to protect them, it would be like pulling carrots. I'm not sure. After all, they rarely come to the outer area. Should I go and look for them? The middle-aged man's voice sounded again. Go ahead. Anyway, we can't find Qin Feiyang and the others for a while. The young man's voice sounded. As the middle-aged man's voice sounded, there was a sound of breaking through the air and rushing toward the top of the mountain. Soon, on the top of the mountain, a golden divine light suddenly appeared, followed by a golden barrier that enveloped the entire mountain. Damn it! The white-eyed wolf cursed secretly. However, after thinking about it for a while, his attitude changed to one of indifference. So what if they found out? I don't believe that they have the ability to break this barrier. His Highness is here. In front of the barrier. A middle-aged man, holding a folding fan in his hand, wearing a white robe, with long hair tied behind his back and a faint smile on his face, looked gentle and elegant. As his voice fell, two figures landed beside him. It was a man and a woman. The man was a young man in his 20s. He was about 185 meters tall and was also wearing a white brocade robe. There was a belt around his waist with an exquisite jade pendant hanging from it. His face was like divine jade, and his figure was tall and straight. His temperament was extremely outstanding, like a shining star. As for the woman, she was a middle-aged woman who appeared to be in her 30s. She was also wearing a plain white dress. Although she was not young, her skin was as tender as a 16-year-old girl, and there were no wrinkles on her face. The middle-aged man in white waved his folding fan and looked at the golden barrier. He smiled warmly and said, "Your Highness, this should be a level 1 inheritance. Are you interested in going in to take a look? What's the point of just looking?" The white-robed young man shook his head. "Since there's no point in taking a look, I'll just inherit the legacy here," the white-clothed woman said with a smile. Her voice was extremely gentle. "Inheritance?" The white-clothed youth was stunned. He looked at the white-clothed woman and said, "Can you break this barrier?" "I definitely can't." "But Your Highness, you can," the woman in white said. "Me?" The white-clothed youth was stunned. He smiled bitterly and said, "With my little strength, I'm not even 1/10 of your strength. How can I break this barrier?" "You're not strong enough, but the weapon you brought can." The white-clothed woman smiled. The white-clothed youth's expression froze. He shook his head and said, "Definitely not. The clan has long had a rule that the inheritance of the law in the inner area must be obtained with one's own strength. If I do that, I'll be violating the clan's rules. But no one is seeing it now, right? Moreover, the rules are dead, and people are alive." The white-clothed middle-aged man and the woman said. "It would be a pity to give up a level 1 inheritance just like that." The white-clothed youth was very hesitant. What kind of weapon can break this barrier? Could it be a sovereign weapon? The white-eyed wolf had already lurked behind the three of them. He heard the conversation between the three of them, and there was a trace of suspicion between his brows. "Your Highness, don't worry. Just do it. We'll keep it a secret for you. When you return to the clan in the future, if anyone asks, just say that you comprehended it yourself," the white-clothed middle-aged man advised. The white-clothed youth pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "All right." In the end, he still couldn't resist the temptation of the level 1 inheritance. "White Dragon Sword, come out and help me." Immediately after, the white-clothed youth spoke. With a clanging sound, a ray of divine light shot out from the white-clothed youth's body. It was a 3-feet-long sword. Its entire body was as white as jade, and the sword hilt was like a white dragon. "This is sovereign weapon." The white-eyed wolf's pupils constricted. The horsetail whisk hidden in the dark also felt a great sense of danger. First, there was the golden spear, and now there was a white dragon sword. In other words, currently, there were already 2 sovereign weapons that had appeared from the dragons. Just these 2 sovereign weapons were enough to threaten Qin Feiyang and the others. However, if they were to really fight, 2 sovereign weapons wouldn't be enough. After all, Qin Feiyang still had the slaughter domain. The white-clothed youth looked at Bai Longjian and laughed, "When the time comes, you have to keep it a secret for me. I don't want to be judged by those old antiques in the clan, especially the other princes and princesses. If they find out about this, they will definitely make a big fuss. As long as Lord Dragon King doesn't personally investigate, this sovereign can help you keep it a secret. The artifact spirit of the white dragon sword pondered for a moment and said. Dragon King, the white-clothed youth's pupils constricted, his eyes filled with fear. The middle-aged man and his wife glanced at the white-clothed youth, then looked at Bai Longjian and said, Lord Dragon King shouldn't care about such a small matter, right? Bai Longjian said coldly, if the other princes and princesses really want to make a big fuss out of nothing, do you think Lord Dragon King will not care? The two of them fell silent. You know the situation of the dragons, and you also know the competition between the princes and princesses. If you make a small mistake, you might end up in a terrible state. Bai Longjian said. That's right. On the surface, us princes and princesses are glamorous and have high statuses, and we can have whatever we want. But who knows our suffering? It can be said that our lives are more tiring than anyone else's. Every day, it's like walking on thin ice, afraid of making a mistake and being caught by others. The white-clothed youth sighed. There's nothing we can do about it. After all, this is the law of survival for us dragons. It's also because of this that your highness should work hard to improve your own strength. I heard that there are 2 level 1 inheritances in the outer zone of the inner zone. One of the level 1 inheritances even contains the highest profoundness. Perhaps it's this place of inheritance. If it's really here, as long as you obtain this inheritance, your strength will be able to suppress the other princes and princesses. Then, your chances of killing Qin Feiyang and the others will undoubtedly be greater. Your Highness, this is a great merit. The couple said. The white-clothed youth's eyes flashed. He looked at Bai Longjian and said, make your move. Bai Longjian did not say anything else. A sharp light swept out, and the golden barrier shattered on the spot. Then, it disappeared into the white-clothed youth's body. Let's go. The white-clothed youth waved his hand and led the middle-aged couple to the center of the mountain peak. At the center, there was also a black stone tablet that exuded a magnificent aura. The middle-aged man in white walked forward and pressed his hand on the stone tablet. After sensing for a moment, he turned to look at the white-clothed youth and said in surprise, Your Highness, this is the law of destruction. The law of destruction. The white-clothed youth was shocked. Fuck. It's actually the law of destruction. And it might even contain the highest profoundness. We must not let them snatch it away. The white-eyed wolf's eyes trembled slightly, and he immediately prepared to sneak over. Don't be impulsive. But suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in his mind. Horsetail Whisk. The white-eyed wolf was stunned, and then he was wild with joy. He lowered his head and saw the horsetail Whisk silently flying to his side from behind a rock. Seeing that the horsetail Whisk was alone, the white-eyed wolf was a little confused. He said telepathically, Where are little Qin Zi and the others? They haven't arrived yet. The horsetail Whisk whispered. You're already here. Why haven't they arrived yet? The white-eyed wolf frowned. He thought that the horsetail Whisk had come with Qin Feiyang and the others. The horsetail Whisk said, After you left, Qin Feiyang asked me to follow you and protect you secretly. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He said telepathically, in other words, you've been here for a long time? Yes. The weapon spirit responded. Oh my god, what's little Qin Zi doing? Didn't we agree to let you stay by his side and protect them? What if we encounter dragons over there? The white-eyed wolf was extremely annoyed. Don't blame Qin Feiyang. He's just thinking about your safety. We'll talk about it later. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan are over there. Even if we encounter dragons, even if we can't defeat them, we should have no problem escaping. The horsetail Whisk whispered. Okay. Then what do you think we should do now? The white-eyed wolf asked. Wait. the weapon spirit said. What do you mean? The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned. He was full of expectations for the horsetail whisk to come up with an idea. In the end, wait? We can only wait. The other party has a sovereign divine weapon. The strength of the couple is also unfathomable. According to my observation, they may be at the same level as the fire dragon. If we act rashly now, not only will we not be able to obtain the inheritance, but we may also be hunted down by them. After all, you just heard that they're here to hunt us down. So, we can only wait for Qin Feiyang and the others to arrive and then think of a way. The horsetail whisk whispered. By the time they arrive, it'll be too late. The white-eyed wolf was speechless. No. It's not as fast as you think. It'll take at least 10 days to half a month to accept the inheritance. Moreover, if we're interrupted halfway, all our previous efforts will be wasted. So, even if they accept the inheritance now, as long as we act and forcefully interrupt them, they won't be able to obtain the inheritance. As for Qin Feiyang and the others, according to the time, frenzy should be almost done. And with Qin Feiyang's character, when he arrives to meet us, he will definitely activate the auxiliary divine technique. So, I guess that they will definitely arrive here in 5 or 6 days at the latest. The horsetail whisk said. Can we interrupt them? The white-eyed wolf was stunned and smiled. As long as we can interrupt them, it'll be fine. Okay, you continue to keep an eye here. Don't rush up. The horsetail whisk warned again. Then what are you going to do? The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Of course, I'm going to wait for Qin Feiyang and the others. Although we know, they don't know that the dragons have already found this place. When they arrive, they will definitely not conceal their aura. In this way, won't they alert the enemy? The horsetail whisk whispered. You've thought it through quite thoroughly. Okay, you can go. I'll stay here and keep an eye on them. I won't be impulsive. The white-eyed wolf smiled. The horsetail whisk responded and quietly slipped away. The white-eyed wolf raised his head and looked at the center of the mountain peak. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 3405. In the blink of an eye, 4 days passed. The mountain peak was very calm. The white-clothed youth sat under the stone tablet with his eyes closed, accepting the inheritance. The middle-aged couple had been standing at the side all this time, protecting him. If it was before, there was no need to stay here to protect the white-clothed youth. After all, no one could step into the inner area. But it was different now. Now there was Qin Feiyang and his group. They were not afraid of the Yin demon power and could enter and exit the inner area at will. What if they did not leave and were still in the Yin demon land? What if they were in the inner area now? At that time, if they bumped into him, His Highness would be doomed. This was something that had to be prevented. The inner area was the territory of the dragons. If His Highness died here, not only would they be punished, but the dragons would also be humiliated. What could be more shameful than dying in one's own territory? If it really happened, it would be a stain that the dragons would never be able to wash away in their entire lives. After all, the death of a prince was not a small matter. For example, the fire dragon. Although his status among the dragons was not as high as the princes and princesses, once he died, it would directly alarm the entire dragons. Because this concerned the face and dignity of the dragons. They would not allow anyone to challenge their dignity. At the same time, in the distance, there was a long mountain ridge that looked like a giant python lying on the ground. This was the path that Qin Feiyang and the others had to pass through. The horsetail whisk was waiting here. Black fog lingered around, making it impossible to see anything. However, with the perception of the sovereign divine weapon, it could sense the movements within a radius of 100 million miles. Time passed quietly. Compared to the white-eyed wolf, the horsetail whisk was extremely steady and did not have any anxious emotions. Finally, night fell. The inner area seemed to be even darker. Swish! Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. The horsetail whisk was shocked. This was the aura of Wang Chongyuan activating the auxiliary divine art. Immediately, it silently rose into the air and took the initiative to meet him. At the same time, the artifact spirit pointed ahead and said in a low voice, "The inheritance land is in front." Of course, they could not see it. After all, the black fog in the inner area was too thick. "You're finally here. Thank you for your hard work." Qin Feiyang smiled at Wang Chongyuan and Pei Tianhong. If it weren't for the two of them taking turns to activate their auxiliary divine techniques and continuously carrying them on their journey, how could they have arrived here so quickly? "I'm fine." Pei Tianhong waved his hand. His personality was different from Wang Chongyuan's. He would not deliberately curry favor with Qin Feiyang. Anyway, he had done what he should do. Whether or not Qin Feiyang could see it was Qin Feiyang's own business. "I wonder how Brother Wolf is doing now," Madman muttered. "With the horsetail whisk following it, as long as it doesn't act rashly, it will be fine." Qin Feiyang smiled. "I'm just worried that it will be impulsive. It's not like you don't know its character. It can steal from others, but if others come to steal from it, it will fight to the death." Madman transmitted. She wasn't worried about anyone but this wolf cub. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel nervous after hearing Madman's words. Suddenly, a ray of light silently appeared in front of him. "Who?" Qin Feiyang and the others instantly became alert. "It's me." The horsetail whisk's voice rang in their minds. They looked at each other and a trace of joy appeared in their eyes. In the next instant, the horsetail whisk arrived in front of them. "Where is the white-eyed wolf?" Madman saw that there was only the horsetail whisk and hurriedly asked. The horsetail whisk said, "It is watching over the mountain peak. I am in charge of receiving you guys here. Quickly retract your aura." "What is it watching over?" Wang Chongyuan was bewildered. "Retract your aura first," the horsetail whisk urged. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other and immediately retracted their aura. Could there be someone over there? Qin Feiyang frowned. Otherwise, why would the horsetail whisk be so careful? "That's right. There are 3 dragons over there. And they are receiving the inheritance," the horsetail whisk whispered. "What? This is an inheritance that contains a supreme profound. How did they manage to get their hands on it?" Go, let's kill our way over," Madman urged. "Don't worry. Listen to this sovereign. These 3 people, except for that young man, are all extremely powerful. According to this sovereign's guess, their strength is definitely not weaker than that fire dragon. And the most important point is that they are carrying a sovereign weapon," the horsetail whisk said in a deep voice. "What? Sovereign weapon?" The faces of Qin Feiyang and the others changed. With a sovereign weapon, this matter would not be easy to deal with. Although the horsetail whisk was also a sovereign weapon, its body was damaged and had yet to recover. It couldn't display its full strength and definitely wouldn't be able to fight against the other party's sovereign weapon. Moreover, there were also 2 powerhouses on the same level as the fire dragon. It was a bit difficult to deal with. Wang Chongyuan rubbed his forehead and said angrily, "In the inheritance land over there, we met 3, and now there are 3 here. How many people did the dragon send out this time?" "What? You also met 3 over there?" The horsetail whisk was surprised. "That's right. And we also experienced a bitter battle. Wang Chongyuan nodded. Then did they take out their sovereign weapons? The Horsetail Whisk asked. We don't know because they didn't take out their sovereign weapons at that time. Wang Chongyuan shook his head. It seems that the ice dragon wasn't joking with us. The dragons are coming to hunt us. The Horsetail Whisk was worried. As a sovereign weapon, it was actually worried like this. It was a shameful thing, but now it couldn't help but be worried. Don't worry. It's not certain who will be hunting who. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and looked at the Horsetail Whisk. Take us to the white-eyed wolf. Okay. But, this barrier of yours, the Horsetail Whisk was a bit hesitant. The aura emitted by the barrier condensed by the power of the blood demon was hard to hide. Madman looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and asked, why don't you guys stay here for the time being and I and the Horsetail Whisk go take a look? Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. Wait for us for a moment. Madman followed the Horsetail Whisk out of the barrier and flew towards the giant peak. I really envy Madman and the white-eyed wolf. Pei Tianhong shook his head and sighed. This wasn't flattery, it was true envy. If they could also absorb the power of the Yin demon, how could they be so passive? Less than an hour later. Madman, Horsetail Whisk, and the white-eyed wolf all returned. You're finally here. I've been waiting for so long. The white-eyed wolf stared at Qin Feiyang and felt wronged. Qin Feiyang laughed dryly and asked Madman, what's the situation? Not good. It's similar to what Horsetail Whisk said. Snatching it by force won't work. And if we fight with them, it's hard to guarantee that the other dragons won't come. It will be even more troublesome then. So for the inheritance here, we can either give up or think of a way to take it. Madman transmitted. Give up? What are you talking about? Do you know that the inheritance here might contain the highest profound? The white-eyed wolf stared at Madman. I know. Besides, I didn't say that I would give up. Madman rolled his eyes at him. How do you know? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Madman looked at Qin Feiyang and said, if we want to take it by wisdom, we can only rely on you to think of a way. I can't think of a good plan anyway. Take it by wisdom, Qin Feiyang muttered. Suddenly, he turned to look at the artifact spirit and asked, can we directly move the stone tablet in the inheritance land? Move it? The artifact spirit was stunned and shook his head. No one has tried it before? Wang Chongyuan and the others also pondered. Move it, if they could really move it, it would save them a lot of trouble. At that time, they wouldn't want to fight anymore. They would snatch the stone tablet and run away. What could the dragons and the other two do to them? And with their methods, even if they had the sovereign divine weapon and the couple, it wouldn't be difficult to snatch the stone tablet. It could be said that this was the most convenient and easiest way. However, the premise was that they had to confirm the stone tablet. Otherwise, could they really move it? If they couldn't, then it would be awkward to rush out. To be honest, in terms of our current situation, moving the stone tablet is the perfect way. But we can't confirm whether we can move it or not. Qin Feiyang was also in a dilemma. The white-eyed wolf asked, then what if we deceive the couple and the white dragon sword? White dragon sword? Qin Feiyang was stunned. It's that heaven-defying artifact. The white-eyed wolf said. So it's like that. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization and then said, the method of deceit won't work because there is a hard condition in front of us. We also need time to accept the inheritance. That's right. Even if we deceive them, or even if we kill them, when we receive the inheritance, other accidents might happen. So, moving the stone tablet is the safest method. The madman nodded. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, looked at the Horsetail Whisk and asked, are you confident? If it was outside, would definitely be confident. Because outside, the sovereign divine weapon is the most powerful existence, omnipotent. But in this demon land, especially when it is related to the dragons, to be honest, I don't have much confidence. The horsetail whisk thought for a moment and said. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at the madman and the others. If other methods don't work, then it seems that we can only gamble once. Let's gamble. Life and death are up to fate. The madman nodded. Since they couldn't think of a better way, they might as well be straightforward. To move the stone tablet, we also need bait. Because only by luring the couple and the white dragon sword away can we succeed. Especially the white dragon sword. If this sovereign divine weapon stays in the young man's body, then with our current state, there is no way we can snatch the stone tablet from their hands. The white-eyed wolf transmitted. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded, lowered his head and thought for a moment, and said, how about this, we will split into two. Horsetail Whisk, Artifact Spirit, you two go far away and pretend to fight, the bigger the better. Why? The Horsetail Whisk was suspicious. Chapter 3406. Because only you will have a chance to lure the white dragon sword away. If it were old Pei and old Wang, no matter how big the commotion is, only the couple will go to check the situation. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Yes, yes, yes. Old Pei and old Wang's strength is not worth the white dragon sword's attention. Only you, as a dominator divine weapon, can attract its attention. And when the white dragon sword comes to find you, although your body has not recovered, at least you have a certain ability to restrain it and escape from its hands. But if it were us, once the white dragon sword arrives, we would have to run for our lives. It would be meaningless. Madman looked at the Horsetail Whisk and said. Okay. The Horsetail Whisk replied. Okay, you guys go first. As soon as the white dragon sword leaves, we will start moving. Try your best to delay it. In the end, whether we succeed or not, we will give you a signal. When the time comes, as long as you receive the signal, don't fight and immediately run away. Qin Feiyang warned and took out the ghost blade's body. The artifact spirit immediately returned to the body. Although the ghost blade's body had not recovered yet, it had been reassembled. And when the white dragon sword went over, with the Horsetail Whisk, there was no need for its help, so there was no danger. Besides, in the face of a dominator divine weapon, the ghost blade was not qualified to interfere. Don't worry, I won't fight. The ghost blade chuckled. Then go. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. You guys be careful too. The Horsetail Whisk reminded him before taking the ghost blade and silently flying into the distance. After watching the two divine weapons leave, Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and looked at the white-eyed wolf. Lead the way, but don't get too close to the peak, so as not to let them sense the aura of the blood demon. Understood. The white-eyed wolf grinned and immediately led a group of people to the peak of the mountain. At the peak of the mountain, it was as calm as ever. The white-clothed youth looked serene as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. The middle-aged couple stood at the side silently, but they were not numb by the calm atmosphere. They secretly looked around vigilantly. Boom! About 100 breaths. In the distance, a loud noise suddenly sounded. Following that, a terrifying wave of energy surged out from all directions. Within a radius of 100 million li, mountains and rivers collapsed, and the earth caved in. The middle-aged couple shuddered and looked in the direction of the battle. But the black fog was too thick. Even if they were not afraid of the demon's power, their vision would be like Qin Feiyang and others, they would be shrouded in endless darkness. These are the ripples of a sovereign weapon. What is the situation? Why is there a dominator divine weapon? The middle-aged man. Could it be Qin Feiyang and the others? The white-robed woman asked. Wait, could it be our clansman? No. The other aura that is fighting with this Dominator divine weapon is not from our clan. It seems to be a divine weapon, but it doesn't seem very strong. It should be a heaven-defying divine weapon. What's going on? Isn't it easy for a Dominator divine weapon to destroy a heaven-defying divine weapon? Why would there be such a big commotion? Both husband and wife frowned, unable to figure out what was going on. Should I go over and take a look? Suddenly, the middle-aged man looked at the woman and said, Don't. You can't withstand the Dominator divine weapon's energy. Let's talk about it later. If it's really Qin Feiyang and others, they will definitely not show mercy if they find you. The woman shook her head. But we can't just ignore it. Look at their aura, they are slowly moving over here. It means that the battlefield is also moving over here. If we don't stop them, they will sooner or later come here. At that time, it will affect His Highness's inheritance. The middle-aged man said. The woman frowned. Suddenly, she looked up at the middle-aged man and asked, Do you think it's possible that they are coming for us? Coming for us? The middle-aged man was stunned. He shook his head and said, It shouldn't be. If they were really coming for us, they wouldn't have caused such a big commotion. That's true. The woman nodded. Then, she said with some annoyance, But why would a mere heaven-defying divine weapon make it so difficult for it to destroy it? Wait. Before I left, I heard from my clansmen that Qin Feiyang's Dominator divine weapon seemed to have been severely damaged by that lord. Could it be that the damage is so severe that it can't use its full strength? Is that why it can't do anything to a heaven-defying divine weapon? The middle-aged man was shocked. The woman was stunned. She thought about it carefully and nodded. That's possible. The middle-aged man said, If that's the case, I'll go over and take a look. Even if they find me, they can't do anything to me. It's better not to take the risk. After all, Qin Feiyang has an accomplice. How about, the woman said and turned to look at the young man. When the middle-aged man saw this, he understood what the white-clothed woman meant. He smiled and said, Bai Longjian, why don't you go and take a look? If that sovereign divine weapon is really damaged, it will be a great opportunity for us. Bai Longjian didn't say anything. The couple looked at each other and couldn't help but frown. Although their status in the dragons wasn't low, they were far from being qualified to command a Dominator divine weapon. Boom! Crack! The battle in the distance was getting more and more terrifying. And it was getting closer and closer to the peak. The couple was very anxious. Once the inheritance started, it couldn't be interrupted. Otherwise, all the previous efforts would be wasted. Clang! Finally, accompanied by a sword chime, the white dragon sword swept out from the young man's body. It was also silent and without a word, it swept in the direction of the battle fluctuations at lightning speed. Thank goodness. Seeing this, the couple couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. As long as the Dominator divine weapon was involved, there was nothing that couldn't be solved. However, they didn't know that there was a pair of eyes staring at them at this moment. It was the white-eyed wolf. At this moment, it was only the size of a palm. It stood a few meters behind the couple like a ghost, looking at the two. When it saw Bai Longjian leave with its own eyes, a hint of ridicule flashed in its eyes. It then quietly retreated to the foot of the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, Qin Feiyang, Madman, Pei Tianhong, and Wang Chongyuan stood together without any aura on their bodies. Madman also suppressed his aura to the minimum. As long as they didn't get too close, they wouldn't be able to sense it. The white-eyed wolf suddenly rushed into the barrier and laughed, Bai Longjian has left. So smooth? Madman was stunned. The plan had been set. It was naturally best if it developed according to the plan. But who was the opponent? If it was an ordinary person, it wouldn't be a problem. After all, there weren't many people in this world who could scheme against them. But now, their opponents were dragons. The dragon race was such a colossus, and the middle-aged couple were definitely experienced figures, yet they were actually going along with their plan. It was really a little hard to get used to. That couple is indeed smart and vigilant. They all thought that they might be coming for them. However, there is a good saying that cleverness leads to its own downfall. Moreover, because they were too vigilant and didn't dare to go personally, they sent Bai Longjian to take a look at the situation. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. Then it seems that being too smart is not a good thing. Wang Changyuan chuckled. That's right. The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth and pointed to the top of the mountain. It looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "When are we going to act?" "No rush." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and looked in the direction of the horsetail whisk. The time to make a move was not now, but the moment when Bai Longjian and the horsetail whisk clashed. The body of the horsetail whisk was damaged. When Bai Longjian ran over and saw the situation, he would definitely not let go of this opportunity. In other words, Bai Longjian would definitely be taken by the horsetail whisk. In the distant battlefield, the horsetail whisk and Ghost Blade continued to exchange blows. Although Ghost Blade followed Qin Feiyang, not many people knew about it. Besides, in the eyes of others, a heaven-defying artifact like it could betray at any time, so it didn't matter if it was seen by others. "I say, big brother, can you be gentler? My body hasn't been repaired in the first place. If you continue to beat it like this, it will definitely fall apart." Ghost Blade's heart was also bitter. It was just a heaven-defying artifact. To let it fight with a Dominator divine weapon, even if it was just acting, it was still difficult for it. This sovereign has already been merciful. It's you who is too weak. The horsetail whisk transmitted its voice. "Big brother, is this what you're saying? You are a Dominator divine weapon. In front of you, how can I not be weak?" Ghost Blade wanted to cry but had no tears. It was simply too shocking. Okay, this sovereign will be gentler." The horsetail whisk was helpless. Although its body was damaged, the strength it could exert was far more than this. Now, it had already suppressed a large part of its strength. If its strength was divided into 10. Then right now, the strength it could exert was only 1/10 of its strength. Even so, it was difficult for Ghost Blade to block its sharpness. The horsetail whisk expressed its disdain. It was too weak. As its strength continued to be suppressed, the horsetail whisk's aura became weaker and weaker. It was as if it was gradually weakening, giving people the feeling that it was indeed seriously injured. "Big brother, do you think White Dragon Sword is coming? It's been so long, but I still haven't sensed its aura." Ghost Blade secretly asked. "I don't know. But there will definitely be people coming to check. Maybe they are hiding in the dark and watching us. Why don't we add another act?" The horsetail whisk transmitted its voice. "How?" Ghost Blade secretly asked. "Let's do this," the horsetail whisk secretly said a few words. "Good idea." Ghost Blade laughed and then laughed wildly. "You think you can kill this sovereign just because you are a Dominator divine weapon? Humph. If this sovereign wasn't seriously injured by Ice Dragon, killing you would be as easy as killing a chicken." The horsetail whisk coldly snorted. Chapter 3407. Yes. I don't dare to deny your strength, but now, you just can't kill me. Don't you think it's embarrassing for you to be a sovereign weapon? Just you wait. The inner area will definitely be filled with dragon's people. When they notice the battle here, you and Qin Feiyang won't be able to escape. Ghost Blade shouted. Bastard! You still have the face to mention Qin Feiyang. Think about it, he treated you so well these days, completely treating you like a brother. But what about you? You actually betrayed him at the critical moment and ambushed him. I don't even know if he's dead or alive now. Let me tell you, if anything happens to him, I won't let you go even if I have to chase you to the ends of the earth. Horsetail Whisk shouted angrily. That anger, that killing intent, it was too real and didn't seem to be faked at all. Brother? You must be joking. A mere human is qualified to be my brother? Let's talk about it again. No matter how powerful Qin Feiyang is, can he be stronger than the dragons? I'll say it again. I'm loyal to the fire dragon, not Qin Feiyang, and I've never thought of following Qin Feiyang. I approached you purely to gain your trust so that I can ambush you from behind. Ghost Blade laughed. Well said. Before Ghost Blade finished speaking, a laughter sounded. Clang! Accompanied by a deafening sword cry, a sword light tore through the sky and rushed out from the black fog. It's here! Ghost Blade shouted. I don't need you to remind me. Horsetail Whisk transmitted his voice, his tone was quite solemn. He hoped that Qin Feiyang's side would be faster. You are? Ghost Blade asked White Dragon Sword, puzzled. White Dragon Sword said, I'm the sovereign weapon of dragons. Who is the fire dragon you mentioned before? Ghost Blade said, it's the fire dragon who can give everyone the blood mark. So it's him. Very soon. You ambushed Qin Feiyang and seriously injured him. You've rendered a great service. From now on, you'll join the dragons. As for now, you can back off to the side. Sovereign Lord, kill it first. The White Dragon Sword pointed at the Horsetail Whisk, its sharpness tearing the heavens and splitting the earth. All right. Ghost Blade responded and then transmitted his voice to his Horsetail Whisk, Big brother, I'll take this opportunity to slip away so that I won't drag you down. After saying that, he flew away without looking back. This guy, the Horsetail Whisk, was speechless. It really ran faster than a rabbit. I'll also give you a chance. Join us dragons and I'll give you a way out. Bai Longjian's aura was firmly locked onto the Horsetail Whisk, and his tone was overbearing. What if I say no? The Horsetail Whisk said calmly. Then today will be your doomsday. Bai Longjian let out a cold snort. Rays of sword light soared into the sky, tearing apart the thick black fog and crazily attacking the Horsetail Whisk. Do you really think that you dragons are the rulers of the sky cloud realm? Those who obey you will prosper and those who oppose you will die. The Horsetail Whisk snorted coldly, and the suppressed strength instantly erupted. The rays of sword light were annihilated on the spot. What? It can still erupt with such a strong power? Bai Longjian was shocked. This sentence is really stupid. As a sovereign divine weapon, don't you know that once a sovereign divine weapon goes all out, even if the main body is damaged, it can still destroy the heavens and earth? The Horsetail Whisk's aura was like a rainbow, shattering all directions as it took the initiative to attack. That's just the final radiance of the setting sun. Bai Longjian sneered. Tens of thousands of sword chi turned into a storm, emitting the power to destroy the world, and collided with the Horsetail Whisk. Immediately, the entire inner area could feel the fluctuations of their battle. At the same time, at the foot of the mountain, Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze, looked at the peak of the mountain, and said in a deep voice, "Let's go." He was the first to rush out of the barrier. Although he could only last for a dozen breaths of time in the Yin demon force, these dozen breaths were enough to reach the peak of the mountain and complete the sneak attack. As expected, in less than 3 breaths, the group of people silently rushed to the peak of the mountain, and then silently rushed towards the stone tablet. Below the stone tablet, the white-clothed youth was not disturbed by the outside world and continued to receive the inheritance. The middle-aged couple looked in the direction of the battle between the horsetail whisk and the white dragon sword, their brows tightly knitted together. Didn't they tell it to go over and take a look? Why did they fight with the other party? Furthermore, the fluctuations of the battle were countless times stronger than before. Even the giant mountain peak beneath their feet was trembling. Large rocks rolled down and crashed into the ground below, emitting a deafening rumble, as if it was about to collapse. They were too focused on the battle between the horsetail whisk and the white dragon sword, so much so that they didn't notice that Qin Feiyang and the others had already arrived at the back of the stone tablet. It's them. White-Eyed Wolf sent a sound transmission. Old Pei, Old Wang, you guys make your move. White-Eyed Wolf, come with me and deal with that young man. Senior brother Madman, transform. If you can pull out the stone tablet after transforming, then we don't want to fight and immediately run away. Qin Feiyang sent a sound transmission. After transforming, Madman's body would be 10,000 feet tall. The small stone tablet in front of him was like a small stone in front of him, so it shouldn't be a problem. Got it. The 3 men and 1 wolf nodded. Do it. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan immediately released a terrifying aura and activated instant time, instantly appearing behind the middle-aged couple. How could the middle-aged couple think that there was an ambush here? How could they think that someone would dare to ambush them? It was completely unexpected. Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan slapped their backs at the same time, but at this moment, a set of armor appeared on their bodies. Divine light flickered. Divine artifact, actively protecting its owner? Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan raised their eyebrows. The power of law gushed out from their palms and slapped their backs. Gotcha. The armor on their bodies shattered on the spot. Although they were protected by the armor, Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan had activated their power of law. The couple groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, like meteorites, they smashed into the ground below. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf also jumped out from behind the stone tablet and went straight for the young man in white. The young man in white was also shocked. He suddenly opened his eyes, but when he saw Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf, his expression changed and he did not hesitate to escape. But he was still one step too late. The power of law gushed out. The White-Eyed Wolf and Qin Feiyang punched him. However, at this moment, a set of armor appeared on the white-clothed young man's body. Puff! The young man in white spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. Because of the armor protecting its owner, his life was saved. Boom! When Qin Feiyang, Pei Tianhong, the White-Eyed Wolf and Pei Tianhong attacked, Madman also transformed. In an instant, that 1-meter-tall body turned into a 10,000 zhang tall giant, exuding a ferocious and violent aura. The stone tablet was right under his feet. He bent down and used his huge hand to grab the stone tablet. The stone tablet in his hand was like a green onion sprout. Get up for me! Madman roared, grabbed the stone tablet and pulled with force. However, the stone tablet seemed to have fused with the giant mountain. With Madman's current strength, he was unable to move it. What? Qin Feiyang and the other 2 and the White-Eyed Wolf turned around and their expressions changed. You can't pull it out? I don't believe it. Madman's other hand also stretched out. Both hands exerted force. And he used all his strength. The veins on his forehead bulged. Gotcha, rumble, the giant mountain under his feet began to shake violently. Cracks began to spread. The base of the stone tablet also began to loosen. It's working. Quickly help! Qin Feiyang roared. The 3 men and 1 wolf immediately rushed to the front of the stone tablet. In front of the stone tablet, they were as insignificant as ants, completely unremarkable. However, this did not affect their performance. With the addition of the 3 men and 1 wolf, the giant mountain shook even more violently. The cracks on the mountain peak crazily spread like a spider web. Half of the stone tablet's base had come out. Put in more effort. Qin Feiyang roared. Get up. The 4 men and 1 wolf roared at the same time. With a loud bang, the stone tablet was finally pulled out. With the stone tablet uprooted, the giant mountain also collapsed. It was so fast. At this time, the middle-aged couple and the white-clothed youth charged over. You dare to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. The 3 were unable to restrain their anger. We've already snatched it, what can you do? Bite us if you have the ability? The white-eyed wolf laughed in disdain. He looked at Pei Tianhong and roared, let's go. Pei Tianhong waved his hand and swept up a group of people. He activated momentary time and disappeared into the black fog like lightning. As for the stone tablet, Madman carried it on his shoulder. Although it was a small stone tablet, it weighed millions of pounds. Even Madman found it difficult to carry it. Fortunately, Pei Tianhong had brought him away. If he had to carry the stone tablet and run, he would be as slow as a snail. Chase! The white-clothed youth shouted, his eyes filled with killing intent. He had almost accepted half of the inheritance, but it was destroyed. How could he not be angry? The most important thing was using the white dragon sword to break the enchantment and obtain the inheritance. He took a huge risk. So now, how could he tolerate Qin Feiyang and the others taking away the stone tablet under his nose? The middle-aged couple was the same. With a heart full of anger, they swept up the white-clothed youth and chased after Qin Feiyang and the others. This person should be Qin Feiyang. The white-clothed woman raised her eyebrows. To be able to enter the inner area and be so arrogant in the inner area, who else could it be other than them? The middle-aged man sneered, killing intent surging in his eyes. Brat, you are plucking the fur from the tiger's body. They still chased after us? The white-eyed wolf frowned when he sensed the aura of the 3 people. Their speed isn't fast, so no one should have grasped the momentary time. Right now, the only thing we have to consider is the white dragon sword and the other dragons in the inner area. Pei Tianhong said. Horsetail Whisk, Ghost Blade, let's go. The white-eyed wolf roared. The distant battlefield. Bai Longjian also sensed the movement at the peak of the mountain and realized that he had been tricked. He shouted, so your goal is the inheritance. That's right. The Horsetail Whisk sneered. In that case, the dagger from before was actually acting with you? The white dragon sword said coldly. Yes. The Horsetail Whisk said. Good, very good. I was actually tricked by you. However, with your final radiance, don't even think about escaping from this sovereign's hands. The white dragon sword was burning with anger as he crazily attacked the Horsetail Whisk. As long as he left the Horsetail Whisk behind, Qin Feiyang and the others would not be able to escape. Chapter 3408. The Final Radiance of the Setting Sun. The Horsetail Whisk was stunned. At this point, it actually thought that it was the final radiance of the setting sun. Was there something wrong with its brain? With a loud clang, the Horsetail Whisk once again erupted with an astonishing aura. This time, it no longer held back. Caught off guard, White Dragon Sword was sent flying on the spot. What? White Dragon Sword was shocked. A dignified sovereign weapon is actually so stupid. It seems that following the dragons is not a good thing. The Horsetail Whisk sneered, turned into a stream of light, and rushed to meet up with Qin Feiyang and the others. We've been played. We've been completely played. White Dragon Sword was furious. What final radiance of the setting sun, what betraying Qin Feiyang, he was simply playing with it like a monkey. This was intolerable. Clang. Immediately. White Dragon Sword was also like a graceful swan, carrying with it a world-destroying edge, crazily chasing after it. Thus, a game of chase began. Whether it was White Dragon Sword or the white-clothed youth, they all looked extremely sinister. Whoosh! Ghost Blade took the lead to meet up with Qin Feiyang and the others. Because the place where it was hiding just happened to be the direction where Qin Feiyang and the others escaped. Awesome! Looking at the stone tablet on Madman's shoulder, Ghost Blade was immediately impressed and really pulled it out. A small matter, White-Eyed Wolf bared its teeth. Show off. The artifact spirit couldn't help but look down on him, and asked, Qin Feiyang, where are we going next? Qin Feiyang pondered, I originally wanted to go to the inner area for a stroll, but looking at the current situation, it seems that we can't take the risk anymore. We definitely can't go. In the outer area, we met two groups of dragons, not to mention the inner area. If we enter their encirclement, we won't be able to escape even if we have wings. Ghost Blade said. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, and said, let's meet up with the Horsetail Whisk first, then discuss. All right. Pei Tianhong nodded and turned towards the direction of the Horsetail Whisk. We can't go. Ghost Blade hurriedly said. Why can't we go? Pei Tianhong was slightly stunned and looked at it suspiciously. You wish. You have the instant time. Compared to the three people behind us, our speed has an absolute advantage. In other words, if we want to escape now, it will be very easy. That's because they are simply unable to catch up to us. However, if we were to rush over to the Horsetail Whisk now, our advantage would instantly vanish. Because the White Dragon Sword is a Dominator Divine weapon. Its speed is even faster than when you activate Momentary Time. At that time, you won't have the advantage in that split second, so we can only rely on the Horsetail Whisk to take us away. If the Horsetail Whisk was at its peak, it would be fine. But now that its body is damaged, it can't unleash its full strength or speed. If we let it take us away, the White Longjian will catch up to us sooner or later. Gue Ren said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and asked, then what do you think we should do? Personally, I think we should split up with the Horsetail Whisk. As long as it restrains the White Dragon Sword and doesn't chase after us, with the speed of the three dragons, it will be easy for us to escape. Gue Ren said. You mean, we should leave the Horsetail Whisk behind? Frenzy also frowned. It's not that we don't care, but we should temporarily separate. As long as we safely escape, with the Horsetail Whisk strength, we will definitely be able to escape successfully. Gue Ren said. But didn't you say that its body is damaged now? Whether it is strength or speed, it is not as good as before. If we leave it alone, wouldn't it be waiting for its death? It fought the White Dragon Sword for us. Now that the stone tablet is in our hands, are we going to leave it behind? You can do this kind of thing, but I, Qin Feiyang, will definitely not do it. Since we came together, then we should leave together. In short, since we are partners, then we should live and die together. If you really don't want to take the risk, we won't force you. Let's part ways here. Qin Feiyang said. When Gue Ren heard this, he was suddenly a little terrified. However, Pei Tianhong and Wang Chongyuan were quite touched. Although the Horsetail Whisk was in danger and not them, but Qin Feiyang's heartfelt words really touched them. Since they came together, they should leave together. Since they are partners, then they should live and die together. This kind of camaraderie towards a partner, in today's world, where could you find it? It could also be seen from this. If it were them today, Qin Feiyang would also not leave them behind and escape alone. There were countless talented young people in the Sky Cloud realm, but young people with good character, in today's world of mutual deception and selfishness, were already 1 in 10,000. Not to mention anything else, just this point alone was admirable. Pei Tianhong no longer hesitated, activating the moment of time to the extreme, chasing after the aura of the horsetail whisk, flying away like lightning. They seemed to be rushing to meet with the sovereign weapon. Behind. The middle-aged woman frowned as she sensed that the aura of Qin Feiyang and the others had deviated. Then they are courting death. The middle-aged man smiled coldly. If Qin Feiyang and the others did not care about the horsetail whisk and let the horsetail whisk restrain the white dragon sword, then they really had no way. Because apart from the sovereign weapon, no one could surpass the speed of the moment of time. But now, they actually ran to meet up with the horsetail whisk. It was simply a stupid act. The white-clothed youth said, but then again, he did not leave behind the sovereign weapon and escaped alone. He can be considered a loyal person. Loyal and affectionate? Your Highness, you must not think so. The world is very cruel now, a woman's benevolence will not achieve great things. The white-clothed middle-aged man looked at the youth and warned seriously. The white-clothed youth looked at the middle-aged man in his eyes and did not speak again. No one knew what he was thinking. The middle-aged man waved his hand and led the woman and the youth to turn in the air, continuing to chase after Qin Feiyang and the others. In the blink of an eye. About 10 breaths of time. Qin Feiyang and the others met up with the horsetail whisk. At this moment, Pei Tianhong consciously closed the moment of time and used the horsetail whisk to bring everyone away. Behind. The white dragon sword's aura was fierce, and its sharpness covered the sky and earth. After the white-clothed youth and the other two met up with the white dragon sword, the white dragon sword also led the three of them to chase after them. The horsetail whisk said in a deep voice, "No, my body is injured, and my speed is a bit slower than it. I have to think of a way quickly." Qin Feiyang looked behind him. Although the black fog lingered and he could not see the white dragon sword and the three figures, it was not difficult to determine from the aura that the distance between the two sides was slowly closing. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the stone tablet on the madman's shoulder, and sent a sound transmission, "If only we could keep this stone tablet. The spatial divine object cannot be opened, and the black tortoise realm cannot be opened. We can only put it in the universe ring. But I tried just now, and this stone tablet cannot be put into the universe ring." The madman raised his eyebrows. The stone tablet's target was too big, and the aura it emitted was too strong. Even if he activated the concealment technique, it was useless. Can't be put into the universe ring? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. This stone tablet seems to have a resisting force. The madman nodded. Then we can't keep carrying it like this. Everyone was rather annoyed. Although they had successfully snatched the stone tablet, they did not expect it to become a hot potato. Wang Chongyuan said, "If there's no other way, let's throw down the stone tablet and run away." Firmly opposed. The white-eyed wolf was the first to disagree. What a joke. It was not easy to snatch it, and it might even contain the highest profound meaning, to throw it away like this? Wouldn't that be a waste? It's impossible to throw it away. After all, this is our spoils of war. Qin Feiyang and the madman also spoke. Looking at the attitude of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, Wang Chongyuan smiled embarrassedly and said, "I was just saying. Everyone has their own opinions, there's no need to be so nervous." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Yes, yes, yes." Wang Chongyuan nodded. It was only Qin Feiyang that he met. If it was anyone else, if you dared to say something that he did not like, he would definitely be angry on the spot. Pei Tianhong pondered for a moment and sighed, "If we can't put away the stone tablet, then we can only continue to drag it out and see if we can find an opportunity." Qin Feiyang nodded, but suddenly seemed to have thought of something and said, "Actually, if we can make the stone tablet retract its aura and use the black fog, it will be easy to escape." Retract the stone tablet's aura? Everyone was slightly stunned and could not help but ponder in their hearts. The stone tablet was not something they could control, so it was definitely impossible to make the stone tablet retract its aura. However, there was another way. That was to use their aura to cover up the stone tablet's aura. But in this way, Bai Longjian and the white-clothed youth could still lock onto their aura. Therefore, this method would not work. After thinking about it, they could not think of a way to solve this problem. Wait! Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled. He turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and Pei Tianhong, and said, "The two of you seem to be able to set up a time array, right?" "That's right." The white-eyed wolf and Pei Tianhong nodded. "Since we can set up a time array, then we can set up a time array first and escape while accepting the stone tablet's inheritance. Once we obtain the inheritance, wouldn't the stone tablet be useless? Wouldn't it be much easier to escape then?" Qin Feiyang said. "That's right. Why didn't I think of this problem?" Pei Tianhong was stunned. Although the Yin Devil Land was unable to open a time and space transmission channel, nor could it open a time and space transmission divine artifact, the time array was not restricted. Pig brain. The white-eyed wolf also slapped his head. They had clearly grasped such a powerful power of law, but they had actually overlooked its existence. If he had thought of this earlier, he wouldn't have spent so much time when he found the first inheritance land and the madman accepted the inheritance. Pei Tianhong urged, "Hurry up and decide, who will accept the inheritance?" The inheritance here, from what the three of them said, seems to be the law of destruction. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and the madman, as if waiting for Qin Feiyang and the madman to make a decision first. Law of destruction? The madman was slightly stunned, and a trace of desire appeared in his eyes. But when he looked at Qin Feiyang, he shook his head and said, "Forget it, I have already obtained an inheritance. If I were to snatch it again, it would be unethical." Chapter 3409. The white-eyed wolf was quite surprised by Madman's words. This was the law of destruction. Most importantly, it might contain supreme mysteries. It was no exaggeration to say that it was more precious than a peerless treasure. Originally, it planned to join in the fun if Madman snatched it, but it didn't expect Madman to be so decisive. "You have the nerve to snatch it?" Madman sized up the white-eyed wolf. He. If little Qin Zi takes the initiative to give it to me, I won't be polite either. The white-eyed wolf bared its teeth. "In your dreams." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at it. He wasn't a polite person. He immediately sat cross-legged in the barrier formed by the power of the blood demon and said to the horsetail whisk, "Help form a barrier to cover the aura of the time array." "Okay." The horsetail whisk responded. Divine power rolled out and an invisible barrier appeared, enveloping the barrier formed by the power of the blood demon. Although Qin Feiyang was sitting cross-legged in the barrier, it didn't affect the horsetail whisk from bringing them away. From beginning to end, the horsetail whisk didn't stop. Because with the horsetail whisk's strength, it could bring the barrier away. Qin Feiyang and the others could do whatever they wanted inside the barrier. Madman also waved his hand and the stone tablet fell inside the barrier, standing in front of Qin Feiyang. Then he looked at Pei Tianhong and the white-eyed wolf and urged, "Hurry up. Let me do it." Pei Tianhong said and formed a seal with both hands. The law of time surged out and surrounded Qin Feiyang like a river of time. "Array, appear." After a while, Pei Tianhong bellowed, and a pentagon-like formation immediately appeared around Qin Feiyang. It emitted a hazy divine light, and Qin Feiyang sat in the center of the formation. He immediately felt that the law of time around him had changed. Without any hesitation, he took out a drop of blood essence and fused it with the stone tablet. A divine light with a destructive aura immediately rushed out from the stone tablet and fused with Qin Feiyang's forehead. Following closely, Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and wholeheartedly accepted the inheritance. Madman and the others were standing outside the array and weren't affected by it. The horsetail whisk's speed was not affected in the slightest. It carried the group of people as fast as lightning. Madman looked at the formation and asked, "Old Pei, how many years does this time formation last?" 500 years. Pei Tianhong said, 500 years? Madman was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, "The time arrays I saw in the sky cloud realm only lasted for 1 day and 500 years. Are there no time arrays of a higher grade?" "Of course. But we don't have that ability. That's because people at our level can only set up a time array that lasts 500 years in a day," Pei Tianhong explained. Madman thought for a moment and asked, "You mean, people like you who have comprehended the ultimate profound can only set up a time array that lasts 500 years? "That's right." Pei Tianhong nodded. Madman suddenly realized and said, "Then what level does one have to reach to set up a time array that lasts 1,000 years in a day or even 5,000 years in Black Tortoise Realm?" He thought of Sky Cloud Island's time array. The little rabbit had said that Sky Cloud Island had a time array that lasted 5,000 years in a day. It was 5 times faster than Black Tortoise Realm. Only by comprehending the ultimate profound of the time law could one set up a time array that lasted 500 years. Then for a 1,500 years time array, did one have to comprehend the ultimate profound of the time law? "I'm not sure about that." Pei Tianhong shook his head. Madman wasn't too disappointed hearing this. After all, this was already beyond Pei Tianhong's ability. "Let me calculate, 500 years in a day, 24 hours in a day, 500 divided by 12, in other words, Old Qin is now in this time array. 2 hours is around 41.5 years. In the time array, 2 hours is 41.5 years. The time he needs to accept the inheritance is at most half a month. So, he only needs a few breaths of time to accept the inheritance?" Madman was stunned. "That's right." Pei Tianhong nodded. At the back, because of the cover of the horsetail whisk, Bai Longjian and the other two didn't sense the aura of the time array. They were still thinking of catching up to Qin Feiyang and killing a few people to take back the steel. In just a few breaths of time, Qin Feiyang, who was sitting in the middle of the time array, suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes. "That's it?" Madman was stunned. "What do you think?" The white-eyed wolf looked at him with disdain. Madman angrily glared at the white-eyed wolf and shouted, "Why didn't you set up a time array for me when I accepted the inheritance? Isn't it because we didn't expect it?" The white-eyed wolf smiled embarrassedly. Pei Tianhong was also embarrassed. At that time, he really didn't expect this. "You're all unreliable bastards." Madman stared at Pei Tianhong and the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "How is it? Is there a supreme profound meaning?" Qin Feiyang turned around and landed in front of Madman, smiling, "If I say no, you definitely won't believe me." "So there is?" Madman asked. "Qin Feiyang nodded. "Oh my God. I really regret it. Why did I snatch the time array?" Madman immediately wailed like a ghost and howled like a wolf. His nose was dripping with tears and snot. He was extremely regretful. This proves a principle. Getting it first isn't the best. The white-eyed wolf looked at him with schadenfreude. Scram! Madman angrily glared at it. Didn't it see that he was depressed? It was fine if it didn't comfort him, but it actually mocked him. What kind of brother was this? Pei Tianhong waved his hand and the time array dissipated. He then looked at the steel with a trace of surprise in his eyes. What's wrong? Wang Chongyuan noticed Pei Tianhong's abnormality and raised his head. He was also surprised. After Qin Feiyang received the inheritance, the stone tablet no longer had its previous divine might. It was as if its essence had been sucked out. It appeared dull and lusterless. Taking a closer look, it was just an ordinary stone. It seems like the steel's extraordinariness was because of the inheritance within. Qin Feiyang looked at the stone tablet and said with a faint smile. Madman received the time array. He also received the destruction array and the supreme profound meaning. Also, the fire dragon's claws and fangs were all wiped out. The fire dragon was also heavily injured. The most important thing was, he even lured out the dragons. It could be said that this trip to the Yin Demon Land wasn't a waste. The white-eyed wolf looked behind and smiled evilly. Didn't they want the steel? Return it to them now. Okay. Madman raised the steel. He was still in his transformed state. The steel was no longer as heavy as before. It was as light as a feather in his hand. When the horsetail whisk retracted its aura and the invisible barrier disappeared, Madman threw the steel out. Get ready. Now is the time to get rid of them. Qin Feiyang's eyes also flickered. Behind. The steel broke through the air and rubbed against the void, emitting a whining sound. What's flying over? When the white-clothed youth and the other two heard the sound, they immediately became vigilant. What are you afraid of? No matter what it is, just crush it. Bai Longjian smiled coldly. Finally. The steel entered their line of sight. Bai Longjian slashed out without hesitation. Wait. This is the steel with the inheritance. The white-clothed youth hurriedly shouted. Bai Longjian immediately braked and brought the three of them to a stop. The middle-aged woman waved her hand and a surge of divine power surged out, enveloping the steel. The steel immediately stopped in the air and floated in front of them. Have you finally given up on the steel? But do you think that if you return the steel to us, we will let you go? The white-clothed youth sneered, but suddenly seemed to have discovered something. He looked up at the steel and shouted, "There's something wrong with this steel." Something's wrong? The middle-aged couple and Bai Longjian couldn't help but be stunned. Then, they carefully examined it. There was indeed a problem. Damn it! The inheritance inside has already been obtained by them. This is just an ordinary steel. The white-clothed youth stretched out his hand and pressed the steel. His face suddenly revealed a look of anger as he roared. What? How are they so fast? The middle-aged woman was surprised. Time array, it must be a time array. Damn it, damn it. That wolf cub and that blood-haired old man both have mastered momentary time. They can obviously set up a time array, but I actually overlooked this point. Chase. If we don't kill them, we won't stop. The white-clothed youth roared without caring about his image. The so-called blood-haired old man was naturally Pei Tianhong. Clang. Bai Longjian's sharp edge tore the sky as he led the three of them to chase. However, they soon discovered that Qin Feiyang and the others' auras had actually disappeared without a trace. Where are they? Bai Longjian and the white-clothed youth were a little stunned. Suddenly, an aura appeared in front of them on the left. This aura was Qin Feiyang. Bai Longjian immediately led the three of them and rushed to the left. Very quickly, they saw a white figure in front of them. It was Qin Feiyang. But now, there was only Qin Feiyang alone. Where are the sovereign divine weapon and the others? The white-clothed youth and the other two looked at each other. What was going on? Could it be that Qin Feiyang saw that he couldn't get rid of them, so he took the risk to lure them away to buy time for the sovereign divine weapon and the others to escape? How stupid. At that moment, they came to a conclusion. It must be that Qin Feiyang was willing to be the bait to attract their attention so that the sovereign divine weapon and the others could take the opportunity to escape. Bai Longjian aggressively rushed over and stood in front of Qin Feiyang. Seeing this, a trace of fear appeared on Qin Feiyang's face. He immediately turned around and used the space-time step to escape in another direction. Humph! The white-clothed youth and the other two snorted and stepped out one after another, appearing in 3 different directions and surrounding Qin Feiyang. You guys really don't give up. Qin Feiyang stopped and looked around at the 3 of them and Bai Longjian. His face was extremely gloomy. You're also stupid. The white-clothed youth laughed mockingly. I'm stupid? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and asked curiously, then tell me, how am I stupid? You acted as bait to lure us over and give the sovereign divine weapon and the others a chance to escape. Isn't that stupid enough? The white-clothed youth spoke with a face full of ridicule. Sure enough. People like him who valued friendship and righteousness couldn't survive in this world. Chapter 34:10. Yes. I'm just a bait to lure you here. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then how are you going to escape now? Without the sovereign divine weapon, with your strength, it's not enough to fill the gaps between Bai Longjian's teeth. Let's talk about it later. Do you think we really care about the sovereign divine weapon and others? No. The only one we want to kill is you. You are also the target of this hunting plan. The white-clothed young man chuckled. Qin Feiyang froze for a moment, then laughed. Being targeted by the dragons, should I feel honored? You can still laugh? Your courage is indeed extraordinary. As for the honor, you should feel honored. After all, since ancient times, no one in the sky cloud realm can make us dragons go to war like this. So even if you die, it's a worthy death. The white-clothed young man nodded. So it's like that. Then I'll thank you in advance. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands, the fear on his face disappeared, and he looked extremely calm. You're welcome. The white-clothed young man waved his hand. No, I want it. Because if it weren't for you talking so much nonsense, it would be a bit difficult for me and them to completely get rid of you. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Me and them? Get rid of them? The white-clothed young man was stunned. Why did these words sound so puzzling? Then he looked at the middle-aged couple and asked, what does he mean by this? The couple looked at Qin Feiyang and seemed to be thinking about something. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, take your time to think about it. In any case, the longer it takes, the better it is for me and them. That's right. He wasn't Qin Feiyang himself, but an avatar formed by the 3,000 avatars. As for Qin Feiyang himself, he had already activated the concealment technique and ran in the opposite direction with his horsetail Whisk, Madman, and the others. No one knew where he was now. Not good. He's not Qin Feiyang. Suddenly, Bai Longjian shouted. What? Not Qin Feiyang? The eyes of the 3 trembled as they looked at Qin Feiyang in bewilderment. The incarnation looked at Bai Longjian with a mocking smile and said, then I would like to ask, if I am not Qin Feiyang, who am I? Although your appearance, temperament, cultivation base, and even the auxiliary divine arts are exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's, I can guarantee that you are definitely not Qin Feiyang. Bai Longjian's tone was extremely gloomy, and his sharp aura covered the sky as he pounced towards the incarnation. Calling others idiots, who is the idiot here? Brat, you want to fight with us? You're still too young. The incarnation laughed loudly as he looked at the white-robed young man. His eyes were filled with mockery. As the sharp light rushed over, it immediately shattered. Only that arrogant laughter was left, echoing in the void for a long time. No flesh and blood, this is just one of Qin Feiyang's doppelgangers." When the white-robed young man saw this scene, he was instantly dumbfounded. From the beginning to the end, he was like a monkey, being played in circles. What was even more ridiculous was that not only did he not realize it, he was even complacent and smug, calling others idiots. In the end, he was the real idiot. No. This is not a doppelganger. A doppelganger can't activate a divine art. The middle-aged man muttered. Qin Feiyang, just you wait. I swear, today's humiliation will be repaid 100 times in the future. The more the white-robed young man thought about it, the angrier he became. He suddenly raised his head and roared at the sky. Then, he spat out a mouthful of blood. In the distance, above a giant mountain, Qin Feiyang and the others stood side by side, looking in the direction of the white-robed young man and his two companions. Their eyes were filled with amusement. Especially when they heard the faint roar, the sarcasm on their faces was undisguised. "Young master, I'm really convinced." Wang Chongyuan retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang with admiration. He thought that even if he could escape, he would definitely have to pay a big price. He did not expect it to be so easy. Perhaps in this world, only this man in front of him could do it. Don't. I'm just relying on 3,000 doppelgangers. Without 3,000 doppelgangers, it would be really difficult to get rid of them. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. When it's time to be high profile, you should be high profile. Why are you being modest? Madman rolled his eyes at him. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed heartily. He had to admit that it was indeed very satisfying. The other party was full of confidence, thinking that they were already in the bag. But in the end? Not only did they snatch the inheritance, but they also ruthlessly played with them. The only regret was that he did not see the white-robed young man's hysterical expression with his own eyes. If there's nothing else, I will go and repair my body first. Fu Chen said. I also want to repair my body. Ghost Blade followed. Qin Feiyang looked at Fu Chen and Ghost Blade and said with a smile, "All right, but Ghost Blade, your body can go to my Sea of Qi, but your weapon spirit has to stay outside to guide us." What else do you need to guide us? Ghost Blade was suspicious. Nonsense. Look at this inner area. If you don't lead the way, how can we escape the hunt of the dragons? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Then it seems that I'm still very valuable. Ghost Blade smirked. Still showing off. Your value is only limited to the Devil's Land. Madman was disdainful. Cough, cough. Ghost Blade coughed and said with a smile, I was wrong. I will be humble and low-key in the future. Ghost Blade's weapon spirit appeared, and his body disappeared into Qin Feiyang's body together with Fu Chen. White-Eyed Wolf rolled his eyes and asked, why don't we go to the inner area again? Don't. Wang Chongyuan, Pei Tianhong, and Ghost Blade's weapon spirit shouted at the same time. What a joke. If they went to the inner area now, wasn't that the same as sending a lamb to the tiger's mouth? Look at your cowardice. White-Eyed Wolf said with disdain. Pei Tianhong, Wang Chongyuan, and Ghost Blade didn't care at all. It was better to be cowardly than to lose their lives. They looked at Qin Feiyang. White-Eyed Wolf didn't have the final say in this matter. They had to see Qin Feiyang's attitude. However, they noticed that Qin Feiyang was looking at Madman. They looked at Madman and their eyelids twitched. Because they saw that Madman was looking at the inner area. This little madman couldn't be thinking of going to the inner area too, right? They didn't know what Madman was thinking, but Qin Feiyang knew that it was definitely because of that familiar call. Qin Feiyang also looked at the inner area and patted Madman's shoulder, no rush. Wait until you reach the peak ruler realm, then we'll try again. Madman didn't say anything. That familiar call had always been there. He really wanted to go in and see what was calling him. However, the mysteriousness and strength of the dragons made him not dare to step in. Who? After a long while, Madman took a deep breath and laughed. All right, we'll come again in the future. At that time, we'll turn that dog shit dragon's nest upside down. With that, he retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyang. Then are we leaving the Yin Demon Land now? Qin Feiyang nodded. Then let's go. Artifact Spirit urged. It didn't want to stay in the inner area for a moment longer. Pei Tianhong was the same. As Qin Feiyang's words landed, he swept up a group of people and flew towards the central area. Wait a moment. Qin Feiyang quickly said. What's wrong? Pei Tianhong stopped and looked suspiciously at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang raised his head and scanned the front. He shook his head and said, we can't go in this direction now. Can't go? What do you mean? Artifact Spirit was suspicious. It's very simple. The dragons already know that we are still in the inner area. At that time, they will definitely ambush us at the border between the central area and the inner area. If we run now, wouldn't that be the same as walking into a trap? Qin Feiyang laughed. Makes sense. Especially by Longjian and those three people. After suffering such a huge loss, they will definitely not let it go. Even if they don't ambush us at the border between the central area and the inner area, they will definitely ambush us at the exit of the Yin Demon Land. In other words, we can't return to the eastern continent. Otherwise, there will be danger everywhere. Madman nodded. Wang Chongyuan, Pei Tianhong, White-Eyed Wolf, and Ghostblade all nodded when they heard this. He really thought it through. Then if we don't return to the eastern continent, where will we go? Artifact Spirit asked. Isn't the Yin Demon Land between the eastern continent and the southern continent? Since we can't return to the eastern continent, then let's go to the southern continent. As long as we leave the Yin Demon Land and enter the southern continent, we can open the spacetime teleportation channel and directly return to the eastern continent. At that time, will their ambush still have any meaning? Qin Feiyang chuckled. Brilliant. Alright, let's take a detour and rush to the southern continent. Artifact Spirit gave a thumbs up and then pointed a direction to Pei Tianhong. Pei Tianhong immediately brought the few of them and sped away like lightning. Sure enough, it was as Qin Feiyang had expected. At the border between the inner area and the central area, a beautiful woman in a black dress stood in the sky and scanned the inner area. This was the woman who sneaked an attack on Qin Feiyang from behind. The black-clothed old man and the black-clothed man were also standing beside her. The three of them were currently looking at the depths of the inner area. The battle fluctuations just now did indeed have the aura of the white dragon sword. Could it be that they also met Qin Feiyang? The black-clothed man suddenly spoke, his brows knitted together. Other than Qin Feiyang's group, who else dares to challenge us dragons? The way this group of people does things is really hard to guess. I thought that after meeting us, they would immediately leave the inner area, but I didn't expect them to still be inside. There seemed to be a trace of anger between the black-clothed woman's smooth brows. Can't you play by the rules? Then are Qin Feiyang and the others already dead? The black-clothed man was suspicious. They all used the white dragon sword, they should be dead. The black-clothed old man said with uncertainty. Dead? If it was so easy to kill them, would they be able to roam freely in the Yin Demon Land for so long? Let's go, there's no need to squat here. Let's go directly to the exit of the Yin Demon Land. They have to leave the Yin Demon Land and return to the eastern continent. A cold light flashed in the black-clothed woman's eyes. She turned around and flew outside without looking back. Chapter 34:11. Not long after the three of them left, a stone door opened in the sky. This was a legendary artifact of time and space. 3 people walked out of the stone door. It was the young man in white and the middle-aged couple. The middle-aged man in white glanced around and looked at the inner area. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said, "We'll wait for them here." But before he finished, another time and space teleportation channel appeared. 3 figures walked out slowly. The leader was a woman in a silver-white dress. She was about 20 years old. Her long hair was silver-white and fluttered in the wind. She was tall and had an outstanding temperament. Her skin was as delicate as a baby's. Behind the silver-haired woman, there were 2 old women. They had white hair and each held a walking stick in their hands. The aura they emitted was unfathomable. "Is this Brother Xiaobai?" When the silver-haired woman saw the young man in white, she ran towards him happily like a little girl next door. The smile on her face was innocent. But when the young man in white saw this, he could not help but frown and waved his hand, "Stay away from me." "Huh?" The silver-haired woman was stunned. She stopped and said with grievance, "Brother Xiaobai, I didn't do anything to you. Why do you look at me like I'm the plague? Stop." The young man in white quickly reached out and interrupted the silver-haired woman. He then said, "I don't have time to talk nonsense with you." After saying that, he turned to look at the middle-aged couple and said, "Let's go. Aren't we going to wait here?" The middle-aged couple was suspicious. "With her here, how can we wait? Go directly to the exit of the Demon Land," the young man in white secretly said. He glanced at the silver-haired woman from the corner of his eyes. There seemed to be a trace of irritation in his expression. "All right." The middle-aged couple secretly responded and opened the stone door again. Seeing this, the silver-haired woman hurriedly shouted, "Brother Xiaobai, why are you leaving? Where are you going? Does it have anything to do with you?" The young man in white glared at her angrily. "It has nothing to do with me. But before, we seem to have sensed the aura of Bai Longjian fighting with someone else. Did you meet Qin Feiyang?" The silver-haired woman's big eyes flashed as she looked at the young man in white and asked. The young man in white clenched his fists. There was a trace of hostility on his body. "I really did meet him." "Didn't you get a bargain then?" The silver-haired woman said. "Are you done?" The white-clothed young man suddenly turned around and stared at the silver-haired woman, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Taking advantage of others? It was obvious that he had taken a big tumble. Moreover, he did not believe that the woman in front of him had not thought of this. If he had really killed Qin Feiyang, he would have returned to the dragon lair. Why would he come here? Wasn't it obvious that he was mocking him? What happened? "Brother Xiaobai, did you fail to kill them? This is impossible. They even used the white dragon sword. Do they have 3 heads and 6 arms?" The silver-haired woman was still acting innocent, which made the white-clothed youth extremely angry. Actually, he wasn't afraid of being mocked. After all, they were all adults. Who hadn't been mocked before? What he was afraid of was this kind of mockery, because this kind of mockery hurt his pride the most. "All right, Brother Xiaobai, I spoke too much. Don't be angry." The silver-haired woman smiled apologetically. "Let's go." A sinister look flashed in the white-clothed youth's eyes. He turned around and stepped into the stone door without looking back. He was afraid that he would not be able to hold back the anger in his heart and go berserk on the spot. The middle-aged couple smiled at the silver-haired woman and turned to enter the stone door. After the stone door disappeared, the silver-haired woman's smile disappeared. She looked up at the inner area and said with a smile, "I didn't expect them to be so capable. Even the white dragon sword couldn't do anything to them. If it was just an ordinary person, could they force that old man to self-destruct?" One of the old women chuckled. The silver-haired woman was slightly stunned. She looked at the old woman and said, "Then according to what you said, with our individual strength, we can't do anything to him? It's probably difficult. But it's up to us. This time, Lord Dragon King asked you to come out. On the surface, it's to hunt Qin Feiyang, but in reality, it's also to train you and test you. So don't be anxious. Take it slow." The old woman laughed hoarsely. "That's right. We don't want to fail, but we don't want to make mistakes." The other old woman also laughed. "Okay." The silver-haired woman nodded. After pondering for a while, she said with a smile, "Then let's go to the eastern continent first. Although we were born in the Sky Cloud realm, we have never had a good tour of the Sky Cloud realm. This time, we'll treat it as a sightseeing tour. That's the mentality we should have." The two old women smiled. The old woman on the left waved her hand and opened a space-time transmission channel. "I hope there are places in the Sky Cloud realm that can interest me." The silver-haired woman smiled and stepped into the transmission channel. The two old women looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. Although their princess looked innocent on the surface, she was actually very calculative in her heart. At the same time, in other places, there were several groups of dragons who were also silently calculating in their hearts. Time flew. 2 months passed. Southern continent. The Demon land here was similar to the situation in the eastern continent. In the border area and the central area, there were many traces of berserk beasts and humans. Fights and robberies were common occurrences. This morning, 4 people and 1 wolf appeared in the border area. It was Qin Feiyang's group. After 2 months, they finally came to the southern continent from the eastern continent. There was no need to talk about the dangers on the way. Fortunately, they had Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan, these 2 super experts. Otherwise, with the strength of Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf, it would be a fool's dream to cross the Demon land and come to the southern continent. Even the transformed madman couldn't do it. Especially in the central area. Not only were there humans looking for opportunities, but there were also berserk beasts living in the Demon land. Most of their cultivation had reached the perfection dominator realm. If a battle really broke out, the madman could kill 1 or 2 after transforming, but if there were too many of them, he would only be slaughtered. Alright. The exit is in front. We can slow down. Gue Ren pointed forward and smiled as if relieved of a burden. Qin Feiyang and the others heard this and couldn't help but sigh in relief. In fact, the humans and berserk beasts on the way weren't a big threat to them. The main threat was the dragons. They were afraid of encountering the dragons on the way. However, looking at the situation, the dragons seemed to have all gone to the eastern continent. They didn't encounter a single one in the southern continent, which saved them a lot of worry. Roar! Boom! Battles at the border could be seen everywhere. Just like this moment, there were 3 battlefields in the surroundings of Qin Feiyang's group. There were battles between humans, battles between ferocious beasts, and even battles between ferocious beasts. They fought to the point the heavens and the earth dimmed. However, Qin Feiyang and the others didn't care about it and went straight outside. In these few months, they had experienced too much in the Demon land. Although it wasn't a long time, they felt as if a few centuries had passed. They couldn't wait to leave this damned place. Look, the morning sun. The madman pointed forward and chuckled. Qin Feiyang and the others raised their heads to look. The sky above the land of the shadow devils was still densely covered by black clouds, making it appear extremely dusky. However, the sky outside the land of the shadow devils was clear and boundless. It was 2 completely different worlds. It's been a long time since I saw the sun. How nostalgic. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Huh, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and Gui Ren couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that even the white-eyed wolf was tired of the Yin demon land. "Lords, save me!" Suddenly, a cry for help sounded from the left. Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. They stopped in the air and turned their heads to look in the direction of the sound. They saw two bloody voices fleeing in a sorry state from that direction. It was a man and a woman. They looked to be in their 20s, and their cultivation wasn't bad. They were at the early stage ruler realm. "Bastard couple, let's see where you can run to." Immediately after, a cold laugh sounded. A purple-clothed youth with 5 middle-aged men flew over like lightning. They seemed to be chasing after the man and woman. The purple-clothed youth's cultivation was only at the half-step ruler realm. However, the 5 middle-aged men's cultivation wasn't bad. 4 of them were at the early stage ruler realm, and the last one was at the late stage ruler realm. Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan looked at the two. Their eyes suddenly locked onto the left side of the purple-clothed youth's clothes. On the clothes, there was the word God written on it. What? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Wang Changyuan looked at the purple-clothed youth and laughed. "He's a disciple of the God Palace." Disciple of the God Palace? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Qin Feiyang transmitted, "The super force of the southern continent is the God Palace." Brother knows. I don't need you to explain. Brother is just thinking that it's too much of a coincidence to meet a disciple of the God Palace. The white-eyed wolf laughed evilly. "What do you want?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and warned, "Let me tell you, the God Palace has no enmity with us. Don't take the initiative to provoke them." Right now, Qin Feiyang's motto was, "If I don't provoke you, don't provoke me." Damn. Brother, am I a wolf that likes to cause trouble? The white-eyed wolf said angrily. Yes. Before Qin Feiyang could say anything, Frenzy, Pei Tianhong, Wang Changyuan, and the artifact spirit all nodded. Do you have any morals? You actually joined forces to slander a pure and kind wolf? The white-eyed wolf's face darkened. Pure? Kind? Frenzy and the others were stunned and then rolled their eyes. Can you be more shameless? Do you think we don't know your character because it's the first time we meet? Soon. The man and woman ran to the side of Qin Feiyang and the others and begged, "Lords, I beg you, please save us." As they spoke, they turned to look at the purple-clothed youth and the others. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. It's not good for us to interfere with your personal grudges. Besides, we don't know why you have a dispute. Who is right and who is wrong? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. If you have the time to ask for help, you might as well run away. Frenzy laughed and had no intention of helping. Chapter 34:12. I'm sorry, it's indeed a bit abrupt. But we really have no other way. Please help us. The cause of this matter is also because of them. We are the victims. The man and woman begged again and again. If you say you are the victims, then you are the victims? In this world, there doesn't seem to be any bad person who will admit that they are the bad person. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. We are really the victims. Can you believe us? The man and woman were burning with anxiety. Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the madman looked at each other. It seemed that they really looked like the victims. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and said, "If you are really the victims, then you have found the right people because we are the embodiment of justice." Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. This was too much of a braggart. The man and woman also looked at the white-eyed wolf with a depressed face. They were afraid that they had met a fool, right? The embodiment of justice? Why didn't he say that he was the nemesis of the devil? At this time, the purple-clothed youth led a group of people over with a murderous aura. Looking at Qin Feiyang and the others, he shouted, "It's none of your business. Get lost." N. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. He was quite aggressive. They didn't plan to interfere, so why was he acting like this? The madman secretly laughed and said, "Old Pei, Old Wang, you two are not doing well." "What do you mean?" The two were a little confused. How did they get involved? The madman joked, "As the former overlord of the Western continent, the disciples of the temple actually don't recognize you. Haven't you failed enough?" The two were speechless. They were indeed famous figures in the sky cloud realm, but because of this, ordinary people couldn't get in touch with them at all. Naturally, they couldn't recognize them. If it were the big shots of the temple or the managers, they would definitely recognize them at a glance. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang looked at the purple-clothed youth and muttered, "Why do I find him familiar?" Familiar? The white-eyed wolf and the others were stunned and looked at the purple-clothed youth suspiciously. "I've never seen him before." Moreover, this was their first time in the southern continent. How could it be familiar? Wait. Don't tell me that he was also present during the exchange on Heavenly Cloud Island? Madman transmitted. Impossible. If he was really there, how could he not recognize us? Qin Feiyang shook his head. But he looked a little familiar. It wasn't the appearance of the purple-robed young man that was familiar, but rather, the look in his eyes. "Didn't you hear me tell you to get lost?" The purple-clothed young man's face was filled with hostility. His patience seemed to have reached its limit. "Why can't we talk nicely? You can ask us to back off or get out of the way, but don't you think the words 'get out of the way' will hurt our friendship?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile. "It seems that you really don't understand." A cold light flashed in the purple-clothed young man's eyes as he shouted, "Beat him up. Beat him to death or cripple him. I'll take responsibility." The five middle-aged men suddenly burst out with a terrifying aura and rushed towards Qin Feiyang and the others. "You're courting death." A cold light flashed in Wang Changyuan's eyes, and an aura surged out. The five men groaned and were sent flying. One had to know. He was a perfect ruler. Just his aura wasn't something that these people could withstand. Not only were they sent flying, but their chi seas were also shattered. So strong? The purple-clothed young man was dumbfounded. The five middle-aged men crashed into the ground, and their faces couldn't help but turn pale. Killing intent flashed in the eyes of the man and woman when they saw the five heavily injured middle-aged men. They didn't hesitate to charge at the purple-clothed young man. They were both at the early stage of the ruler realm. The purple-clothed young man was only at the half-step ruler realm. He was only able to chase after the man and woman because of the five middle-aged men. Thus, at this moment, a trace of fear appeared in the purple-clothed young man's eyes when he saw the man and woman charging at him. "Don't you dare harm the young master." The middle-aged man at the late stage of the ruler realm roared and struggled to stand beside the purple-clothed young man. The man and woman didn't hold back at all. Because the middle-aged man's chi-si was shattered, he was no longer a threat. With a miserable cry, the middle-aged man's blood splattered everywhere. Only his divine soul remained. "Old Black!" The purple-clothed young man roared. "Young master, hurry up and leave. We'll hold them back." Even though the middle-aged man was only left with his divine soul, he didn't retreat a single step. He swore to protect the purple-clothed young man with his life. The other four middle-aged men also got up and stood in front of the purple-clothed young man. They all urged the purple-clothed young man to leave. "How can I leave you all behind?" The purple-clothed young man roared. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and said angrily, "Why are you all meddling in my business? Do you know who I am? I'm a disciple of the deity's hall. Seeing the purple-clothed young man's attitude toward the 5 middle-aged men, Qin Feiyang and the others were astonished. They had originally thought that the purple-clothed young man was a hedonistic son of a rich family. They didn't expect him to be so loyal. This was because they knew that the 5 middle-aged men were only the purple-clothed young man's subordinates. If it were anyone else, a mere subordinate, they would die. Who would care if they died? But this person, even in such a situation, still didn't abandon them? This was a bit surprising. Qin Feiyang looked at the man and woman again. It was reasonable for the man and woman to kill the purple-clothed young man and the others. After all, they couldn't be merciful to their enemies. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang caught an unusual sneer in the man and woman's eyes. How to describe it? It was like the sneer of a spy who had succeeded. Were they wrong? The real villains were this pitiful man and woman? The man and woman didn't stop. They continued to attack the 4 middle-aged men with murderous intent in their eyes. Bastard couple, I'll kill you. The purple-clothed young man roared, and a destructive aura rushed out of his body. Self-detonation. Qin Feiyang and the others were shocked. He chose to self-detonate without saying anything? However, after thinking about it for a while, he felt relieved. Since he couldn't win and couldn't escape, he would die even if he didn't self-detonate. It was better to self-detonate and die together. Although the man and woman's cultivation was at the small success ruler realm, they couldn't help but panic when the purple-clothed young man self-detonated. They immediately turned around and used auxiliary divine techniques to escape. Qin Feiyang and the others didn't move. After all, with Wang Chongyuan and Pei Tianhong's strength, the self-detonation of a half-step ruler wasn't a threat to them. Young master, don't. Seeing the purple-clothed young man self-detonate, the 5 men cried out. Isn't it just death? Have some backbone. 18 years later, you'll be heroes again. The purple-clothed young man said coldly. He glared at Qin Feiyang and the others with hatred. The destructive aura around him had reached the limit of self-detonation. Backbone, Qin Feiyang murmured with admiration in his eyes. He said, Old Wang, stop his self-detonation. Wang Chongyuan nodded. He took a step forward and grabbed the purple-clothed young man's shoulder. A surge of divine power entered the young man's body, forcibly stopping the self-detonation. You won't even give me a chance to self-detonate? The purple-clothed young man was stunned. He then roared at Qin Feiyang. Calm down, calm down. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, What grudge do you have with them? What does it have to do with you? The purple-clothed young man snorted. You're quite arrogant. Wang Chongyuan chuckled. He raised his hand and punched the purple-clothed young man's stomach. The purple-clothed young man cried out in pain. I won't say it even if you beat me to death. The purple-clothed young man roared. Wang Chongyuan was stunned. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other suspiciously. The white-eyed wolf went up and asked, Kid, why won't you say it even if you beat me to death? Because, the purple-clothed young man stammered. Say it or I'll kill you. The white-eyed wolf shouted. His eyes flashed fiercely. Embarrassing. The purple-clothed young man panicked and roared. Embarrassing? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. The purple-clothed young man lowered his head. His face was full of anger and pain, as if there was something that he couldn't say. Sigh. The middle-aged man whose body was destroyed sighed softly. He looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and said, Since you don't look like unreasonable people, I might as well tell you the truth. Old Black, shut up. The purple-clothed young man glared at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's skin was indeed very dark, like a piece of charcoal. It's already happened. There's no point in running away. Besides, you're a man. No matter what happens, you have to face it bravely. Old Black sighed. It didn't happen to you. Of course you'd say that. The purple-clothed young man said angrily. Young master, your words are hurtful. We've been with you for so many years. Don't you know what kind of people we are? Let's talk about it later. You've treated us so well, as if we're your family. Your pain is our pain. You've been humiliated by them. We feel the same way. Old Black roared. The other 4 burly men nodded in agreement. The purple-clothed young man went silent. Old Black looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and said, "It's like this. The 2 of them, the man is called Zhang Chuan and the woman is called Lu Mei. They are the same as young master, disciples of the temple." "They're both disciples of the temple?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "That's right. But they don't have any background. But the family behind my young master is quite famous in our southern continent. You should have heard of the Yun family." Old Black said. "Yun family?" Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Madman, they had never heard of this before. Because they knew nothing about the situation in the southern continent. The only thing they knew was the existence of the temple. However, Pei Tianhong and Wang Changyuan lowered their heads and pondered. Suddenly, Wang Changyuan looked at Old Black and asked, "Is it the Yun family, known as the second largest family in the southern continent?" "Yes." Old Black nodded. "I see." Wang Changyuan nodded. "Is the Yun family very powerful?" White-Eyed Wolf looked at Wang Changyuan suspiciously. Hearing this, Wang Changyuan was speechless. Old Black, the purple-clothed young man, and the other 4 middle-aged men all looked at White-Eyed Wolf in shock. He didn't even know about the Yun family. Was he still from the southern continent? You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.